Kriana Fantasy is a wild game that drops you right into the world of the Royal Kriana Academy. It's a wildly popular dating action RPG where every move you make rewrites the story and your route shifts based on your choices. Players can either dive into the Academy's brutal adrenaline-pumping battle system or lock in and focus on. Then you dive into dating the Academy's heroines. This game goes wide open, letting you choose your path and chase a bunch of different ending routes. There's always one guy who blocks the player every single time. Alba Arecia, the Duke's son. He's a towering, arrogant womanizer with a short temper, the kind of villain who's all swagger and self-gratification. And everyone knows he's destined to become the game's protagonist's worst enemy. Deep in the heart of the mountains, a young man bursts out of a cabin clutching a hoe, ready to start farming. This is none other than Alba Arecia, the Duke's delinquent son, who's cut himself off from everyone and now lives alone up in the mountains. Everything feels calm and alive. Birds are chirping overhead, rivers are rushing like music, and the animals keep calling out in the wild. Alba starts his day with a hard plow through the fields, and right in the middle of the work, a memory hits him, one that spills the kind of secret that shakes everything. Turns out Alba isn't even really him. Someone else slipped into this body 3 years ago through reincarnation. 3 years back, at Duke Aresha's mansion. After reincarnation, the protagonist jolts awake, trapped inside Alba's body. At that point, he could barely even tell where he was, or who he was, staring back at him in the mirror. But then, like a switch flipping, scattered memories snap back, and he starts remembering a specific game. This youth fantasy game throws you straight into the wild world of Kriana Royal Academy. It's a world where this one villain never stops clashing with the protagonist, and the name everyone fears is Alba. In one route, Alba swoops in and steals the heroine right out from under the protagonist, turning into a full-blown rival. In another timeline, he gives in to corruption and turns into the Academy's destroyer. No matter which path Alba takes, destiny is locked in. She's going to become the final villain. To make it even worse, his memories of the game are busted. He never finished every route, yet he can still picture Alba crystal clear because that stubborn little pest shows up again and again, refusing to leave him alone. Staring at Alba's reflection glaring back at him, he freezes in shock, wondering if this is real, if he's been reincarnated as Alba. And even as confusion churns inside him, one brutal thought crushes everything else and takes over his mind. That Alba is doomed to die. His end is coming in one of two ways: a brutal duel with the protagonist over a heroine, or the protagonist finally swings the hammer and kills him for all the evil he's done. No matter which path you pick or which choices you tap, Alba's death flag is coming no matter what. He refuses to swallow this fate or just sit there helplessly facing his end without a clue, because he won't rest until he figures out why he got reincarnated in the first place. Even with no way to rewrite destiny, he clenched his resolve and chose the only thing that made sense right then. He manages to outrun his fate completely, until they find his room stripped bare, empty, and every last one of his valuables gone. The maids rush to tell the Duke at once, and the moment Yell's Alba's name hit his ears, fury exploded. Still, Alba clings to one brutal truth: fleeing now is the only way to dodge the fate waiting for him. Selling the valuables he stole, he's betting everything that he can finally scrape together a living, slip away to the countryside, and live in peace, far from the doom that used to be closing in on him. Back in the present, 3 long years have passed since that day. After he ran, he didn't just stop moving. He died, hacked off his hair, and then bought a tiny cottage up in the mountains. Yeah, it's not the easiest life compared to who he used to be, but he's out there living slow, tending crops in the sun, cracking books when the rain hits, and the best part? He's still alive. Right then, someone bursts out of the house, breathless, apologizing to him for oversleeping. Then Alba remembers it. This world's goddess of destiny isn't about mercy, and she won't let him slip away. He flashes a grin and calls out a cheerful, "Good morning," addressing the girl as Celia, and she giggles right back, and the smile tells you everything. This is Celia Margaret, one of the game's possible love interests. She tells him a letter just landed for him, and he instantly figures it's all about his debt, so he shrugs it off and orders her to just eat it. She shoots back, "I'm not a goat!" And Alba erupts into laughter. He gently pats her head as he apologizes, and her whole face lights up with pure joy. He knows if he follows his own plan, he can't let himself get tangled up with her. She's one of the only people who can steer him straight toward his death flag. Celia is a saintess blessed by the goddess herself, rare, famous, and terrifyingly talented at healing magic, with the power to see disasters coming before they strike. You might be wondering why the saintess is even tied to him, but it all goes back half a year ago when he was living alone and still trying to find his footing in this world. Since this world is basically the same as the game, he already knows the veggies like an old friend, so he can start farming right away, and he's honestly so grateful it feels unreal. Still, he's convinced Alba's family hasn't started hunting him down yet, and honestly, that's a relief, because his worry is eating him alive. But he never saw the twist coming. People in town acted like he was already dead. Because his family never shuts down those rumors, Alba can't shake the feeling that they hated him too. He cuts himself off before the thoughts spiral and stretches right after he's finished harvesting. Just then, a distant noise snaps his attention, and he can't help wondering, was that a scream? Turns out the carriage gets ambushed, and inside it, the Saintess is trapped. While one guard is yelling at the Saintess to run, he gets cut down in a heartbeat, swiftly eliminated before he can even blink. Everyone else gets slaughtered too, leaving the Saintess as the only one standing. Cornered at last, an assassin raises a dagger to her throat, and fear rips through her as she trembles, swearing they can't do this. One of the assassins snaps forward out of nowhere and slams into her with a deadly attack. Right before the assassin could lay a hand on her, a bolt of lightning erupted out of nowhere, tore between them, and blasted the attacker flying. This hits the Saintess and the other assassins like a sucker punch, because it all unfolds in the blink of an eye. Lightning reveals it's Alba, and he shouts that he doesn't understand what's happening, but nobody better make the girls cry. When he snaps his head toward the Saintess, he freezes. Her face looks weirdly familiar. As he scrambles to place her face, it clicks instantly. She's one of the heroines he's seen before. He's falling apart because she's one of the main characters tied to his death flag, and even when he barricaded himself in the mountains to dodge every one of them, fate still hunted him down. After this, he's convinced the goddess of destiny won't just ignore Alba slipping out of his fate, because to him, that favor feels anything but welcome. Right when he's trying to figure out his next move, assassins suddenly spring up behind him and rush in for the kill. Terrified, the Saintess shrieks at the top of her lungs, "Alba, run!" Right then, he summons lightning and wipes them aside in seconds, saying they've already made contact, so there's nothing left to do but roll with it. The Saintess is left reeling as Alba carves through every assassin in one blinding blue flash. Ever since he locked himself away in the mountains, he trained without mercy, digging into the world's magic and learning how to wield it like power in his hands. That's how he wipes out the assassins with terrifying ease. But even knowing it's just a game world, guilt still claws at him every time he has to kill. Then it hits him. One day, he could end up just like them. And panic turns into iron resolve. He vows to break free of his destiny, and whatever death comes for him, he'll fight it with everything he's got. After a quick beat, he whips around to the Saintess and demands to know if she's okay. Even though he's already asked, he knows she's still alive. Every guard around her is gone, and he breaks, apologizing for failing to save her companions. She drops to her knees and sobs hard, finally admitting she can't take this torment anymore. She tells him she gets it. Being a Saintess means crossing the whole land on pilgrimage, but no matter where she goes, someone is always hunting her. Alba clocks her own reaction and realizes this is the moment that finally snapped everything and broke the camel's back. She carries on, telling you the Saintess isn't just important, she's second in power in the Church of the Goddess, right behind the Pope. And because of that, they don't leave her alone. Attackers swarm non-stop, trying to steal her power or knock her out before she ruins their plans. Each time innocent lives get slaughtered to shield her, the sight crushes her until she can't take it anymore. Alba thinks, if I saw this on a game screen, I'd just call it her backstory. But watching this little girl break down in front of him, he can't ignore it. And yeah, this is some real shit. This is real life. Those tears aren't just pixels dancing on a screen. Tears streamed down the Saintess's face as she choked out her wish. She wanted to stop fearing everything and finally live a normal life. After a quick pause, Alba softly strokes her hair, then drops into a crouch. With a warm grin and zero hesitation, he asks if she wants to come over to his house. She abruptly freezes, stares at him, shocked, and then it hits him. Anyone would be stunned to hear an invite like that drop so fast. Yet the words burst out of his mouth before he can even process them, because he's not talking to some dumb game NPC. He's talking to a real human, just like him. Then he tells her, I don't get everything you're going through, but I can see how hard you've been pushing, and you've earned the right to rest. Smiling after finally getting a real rest matters way more than pushing yourself just to end up crying. So if fate wants to tear her up, he tells her to do the one thing that breaks the script. Run. Now. Just run. And Alba knows this girl is itching to rebel against her destiny the same way he did. He shoots his hand toward her and tells her, if there's nowhere left to run, then run with me. She lights up and grabs his hand, asking to go with him. Alba knows she shouldn't get anywhere near a girl tied to his death flag, but he can't stop thinking he'd give anything just to see her smile instead of breaking down and crying. Only 6 months later, he's staring at her smile, and it fits her way better than any tears ever could. The moment Celia snapped back to her good mood, she fired off a letter to her father, the Pope, and today, his reply finally landed. Right as Alba asks what the letter says, she suddenly throws her arms around him in a tight hug. She softly asks if he'll stay with her, but he bursts into laughter and walks off, leaving Celia totally baffled. Then he leans in and tells her, of course, I've got you. Because he's the one who pulled her out, and that means he's on the hook for her all the way to the very end. She beams so hard it's almost unreal, then throws her arms around him again and blurts out how insanely happy she is. Alba can tell she's going to need him to drive her to the church where her father is, and because he's the reason she ran away, he better believe he won't dodge punishment that easily. Celia then flashed him a picture and practically dared him, come with me, we're going to that place together. He's totally thrown, because the image isn't what he expected. It's a pamphlet for Kriana Academy, the very place the game takes place. For Alba, that spot is the executioner's block itself, packed with death flags, so he's sworn he'll never step anywhere near it. But fate's goddess won't let him slip away. Celia steps in fast and says her father told her to push her to the academy if she truly wants a normal life. And if Alba comes with her, it'll be the best school life ever. Hearing that, Alba flashes a warm smile, but deep down, he's terrified to even step foot in that place. He's been fighting tooth and nail to dodge Kriana Academy and the game's main cast, trying to lay low in the mountains and live in peace. Still, no matter how hard he tries, he gets dragged there anyway, right when they stop in front of the academy. Celia snaps at him to stare at just how huge it is, and he panics, then nervously nods. She clocks his unease at once. You okay? You look pale as a ghost. And he shoots back that it's nothing, just a little carriage sickness. Hearing that, she scoots over and offers him a lap pillow so he can rest his head. Alba's nerves spark as she quickly thanks her and refuses, even though he's only here for Celia, so he doesn't put any of it on her. She has no clue about the death flags stalking him at the academy, or that every last one of them links right back to the heroines of the game, her included. So tell me, why on earth did he say yes and walk into this academy with her? To understand that, you've got to rewind to the day Celia got letters from her father, because tucked in the pile is one meant for Alba. Right at the heart of the letter, Celia's father is revealed as the founder of the world's most powerful religion, the Goddess Church, and his authority hits just as hard as the king of Kriana. With Celia hidden under his roof because of everything that's happened, He can't shake the fear that this letter won't be a normal note. He's bracing for a furious warning or even a straight-up threat. But the moment he opens the letter and reads just a few lines, surprise hits him hard. It's packed with heartfelt apologies and waves of gratitude that hit you right in the chest. In Celia's father's letter, he makes it crystal clear she's not the saintess just because she's his daughter. She's chosen because the goddess's grace has settled on her, and she was born with miraculous power. The second she was born, her destiny was locked in, and she threw her whole life into the goddess's teachings. So once she finally realizes what's going on around her, she rushes straight to the people who worship the goddess. No matter how brutal or deadly the road got, she kept charging forward, calling on the goddess's power to rescue lost stray sheep. She never once complained to him, she just carried out her duties, day after day, no hesitation. When people questioned her, she only smiled and insisted that being a saintess was her duty, and he felt his heart swell with gratitude that his daughter could say it so warmly. Now he finally sees it. What a fool he's been for missing how her smile masks the truth of what she really feels. He finally sees it. His own daughter is one of those stray sheep too, quietly breaking inside, praying someone will come and rescue her. The Pope's convinced Alba didn't just rescue his daughter, he saved her very soul too, and gratitude burns in his chest like nothing else. But no matter what, Celia is still the saintess and he's still the founder. With her father standing right there, he's determined to grant his beloved daughter one last wish and back her as she fights for a normal life. So, with everything as it is, the Pope basically tells Alba to go ahead and mock this old sinner, right to his face. As you read, Alba snaps, he won't laugh, not a single bit. Celia's face twists with confusion, but he flashes her the truth, that her father is a wonderful man, and she immediately lights up and happily agrees. Move. He keeps reading as the Pope lays out his request, right when Alba groans in annoyance at what's coming, and she snaps, asking what's wrong, but he just stays silent and pushes on with the next line. The Pope leans in and asks if Alba can join Celia at the Kriana Academy. He paints the academy as a magnet for gifted people devoted to the goddess, then insists nothing in the world can compare to the education they get at the Royal Academy. Reading it, Alba tells Celia that her dad wants him to ride with her to Kriana Academy because the Pope is convinced that if Celia gets into that school, she'll finally live the life she's always dreamed of. He says his mind would finally rest easy as long as Alba, who wiped out the assassins all by herself, stays right by his side. He's convinced Celia wants to stay with him too, and when he spots Alba's worried face, Celia calmly tells him, "It's okay." With a bright smile, she tells him she's totally fine heading to the academy by herself. Seeing that smile, Alba finally gets it. She's been fooling her father the whole time, and her real intentions are hiding perfectly behind that grin. Then he tells her straight up that the academy is crawling with dangerous people, mean troublemakers who can't wait to flex their power, and that hits Celia like a brick. As Alba keeps blaring her reassurance that the academy runs under the country's watch so her life won't be in danger like it was on her pilgrimages, one nasty truth hangs in the air. Plenty of unpleasant men are still lurking, just itching to seduce a sweet girl like her. Totally baffled, Alba blurts out right there, asking if she still wants to go. And once she gets what he's really worried about, she tells him she's sure tons of people are going to want to be her friends too. Alba snaps back, warning that if Celia keeps this up, she'll get buried in study time for subjects she doesn't even care about. Then Celia grins and says she's only ever studied the Bible before, so honestly, she's weirdly excited. He also warns her that an unfamiliar place could drain the life out of her, but Celia grins and says she's buzzing to chase somewhere totally new. With that, both of them break into smiles, and after a quick pause, Alba leans in and declares, "We're going together." This makes her light up, and she lunges into a tight hug. Alba knows he's supposed to keep away from the academy and this girl, but he's already decided to go full rebel and throw himself at the death flags anyway. Especially because he's convinced a warm smile fits Celia way better than any sad frown. Then she blurts out how grateful she is for the goddess's help, and that sets Alba off, because the goddess she worships is steering him straight toward his death. Now that he looks back, he can't stop wondering, was it that goddess who steered him into this world in the first place? While he's lost in thought, he spots another message inked on the letter, and suddenly his emotions hit him all over again. Celia clocks it and asks straight up if he's changed his mind about the academy. He hesitates, awkwardly shuts her down, and admits he's actually excited for it. He snaps like this because her father's final wish is clear as thunder. He'd better not, under any circumstances, let a single tear fall from his daughter. Just like that, he had no choice. He was dragged to the academy with Celia. As soon as they step out of the carriage and head toward the academy, both of them freeze in shock at just how massive the building is. Alba stares at the screen and gets hit with a seriousness he never expected. And then he spots a line of statues along the road up to the academy building. Celia leans in and tells them, these aren't just statues, they're the goddess, the hero, and the holy beast that guards the maiden with its life. When she asks if he doesn't think they're wonderful, Alba gets this nagging doubt that every single one is linked to different moments in the game. He just can't remember which. Then he tells her, when we're at the academy, call me Al. She panics, apologizes on the spot, and quickly snaps back, sorry, Al. Celia's father gave him the name Ao, the Holy Knight Apprentice, because he's trying to vanish his real identity and dodge those brutal death flags. Celia is blindsided to find out he fled his own family, and now they think he's dead. She tells him, if your family gives us trouble, my dad will squash them under his thumb. And when Alba hears that, she realizes just how terrifying her father's power really is. Still, even with his help, he's determined to keep his distance from anyone tied to his death flags, no exceptions. He starts snapping with frustration because his game memories are too blurry to trust. Then, out of nowhere, he hears a crowd of people yelling. It turns out they've already clocked Celia, and when they see the Saintess here, their faces drop in pure shock. Because of that, a massive crowd surges in fast, shoving Alba aside as they close in on her. That's when it hits him. This is exactly what he should have been scared of from the start. Because Celia isn't just famous here. She's a full-blown superstar. Crowds swarm around Celia as they chant Saintess non-stop, and panic claws its way into her chest. Just as she shuts her eyes and prays for a normal life, a savage bolt of lightning tears through the crowd. Alba dashes in and snatches Celia away on the spot, then declares, she's not here as the Saintess, she's here as a student of Cryana Academy. So he blurts out, back off and stop swarming her like idiots, no careless crowding. Even though she's just the Holy Knight Apprentice on paper, Alba vows to shield Celia at any cost, and when she sees how he reacts, she can't help but light up with pure joy. Meanwhile, the crowd freezes in stunned confusion, staring at Alba as she snatches Celia away in the blink of an eye. They snap to the conclusion that, with skills like that, he has to be the son of some legendary noble family. Hiding behind the girl's shoulder, the watcher keeps their eyes on Alba and Celia as they stride straight on toward the academy. She looks genuinely stunned, not by what Alba just did, but like she's clocked who he is the moment she sees him. As soon as they step into the academy, Celia flashes a quick look and urges them to rush, because collecting their uniforms can't wait. But Alba stands there, completely frozen, torn with hesitation. Even though he told himself he was ready, the moment he stepped inside Cryana Academy, reality hit like a truck. The exact spot where Alba Oracia is supposed to meet his end makes his whole body shake. Realizing it, Celia snatches his hand in a flash. She leans in, steadies his panic, and tells him, don't be scared. I'm right here with you, so everything's going to be okay. After hearing that, he flashes a weak smile at her, hating that he's supposed to protect her while she's the one soothing his broken heart. Like a proper saintess, she soothed him completely, then he thanked her with relief in his voice. Right after that, she burst into giggles and confessed she's nervous too. Inside the main building, they stumble on a towering stained glass mural showing the hero and the goddess. As Celia frets over whether this is supposed to prove the hero's devotion to the goddess, Alba can't help staring at it, blown away by how massive it is. Celia drops into her seat and starts to pray. Alba swears she'll pray for everyone, no matter the time or where they are. When she starts praying out loud and begs the goddess to put her in Alba's class, it hits him. This isn't some holy wish at all. It's pure, personal desire. Later, the teacher drags them to the uniform distribution section, points at the unicorn class, and thrusts their brand new uniforms into their hands. Celia practically beams at being in the same class as Alba, and Alba feels the relief just as strongly. The old teacher lets out a chuckle and tells them to soak up their school days like it's the last chance they'll ever get. Celia nods, thanks him, and Alba can't shake the feeling this dottery old man is hiding something big tied to an event from the game. With all that finally settled, the two step out of the building, grinning like they just became best classmates. While Alba exhales in relief that nothing from the game set off any alarms, Celia can't contain her excitement as she eagerly talks about slipping into the uniform. The second she calls him Alba, he reminds her right on the spot that inside the academy she's got to call him Al, and she immediately blurts out another apology for forgetting. Right then, a stranger cuts in front of them and blurts out Alba's real name, leaving both of them frozen in shock. It's the same girl from before, and she leans in, asking if, no matter that he's got a totally different hair color, he really is Alba. Spots of her fiery red hair, and Alba snaps to it instantly, because to the real Alba, she's impossible to forget. And her name is Alina, one of the game's romance targets and a main heroine. More than anything, she's Alba's childhood friend and his ex-fiancée, one of the names that's chained to his death flag. Alina snaps at him, "So why are you here with the Saintess?" And when Celia spots Alina's worried look, she snaps, "Are you mistaking him for someone else?" She tells them Al is her holy knight apprentice. Her name's Al, and he also plays the role of her attendant. Hearing that, Alina burst out laughing, calling it ridiculous because he didn't create Al at all. He just yanked Ba out of Alba. Celia snaps the moment she realizes the lie is exposed. She panics, blurts out that he's Al, not Alba, and now Alba's stuck in the worst awkward situation with someone he knows, because he bolted from home. Alina hears it and confirms the truth. Alba really did run away from home, and that lands like a punch straight to him. But Celia panics and swears she's right, insisting the Alba who once saved her is now Al. While Al tries to clamp down on the chaos, Alina blurts out even more. Alba ran off, then met the Saintess after escaping, and now she openly pins the rumor on him, thinking he's the one who spread word of his death. When she says it out loud, Alba scrambles to pretend she didn't hear a thing, insisting he has no clue what she's talking about. But Alina snaps her sword free and whips a deadly slash at him. He dodges it with zero effort. She tells him point blank that if he keeps acting clueless for one more second, she'll cut him down. And he's stunned, because her attack looked dead serious. Celia shouts his name in a panic, and he snaps at her. "Back off!" The chaos erupts, and suddenly a crowd rushes in to see what's going down. And suddenly, people start clocking Alina's face, the famous Persia family, and they can't stop wondering why she's hanging around the man who acts as the Saintess's attendant. Alina plows through the crowd, glaring like a storm, and demands, again, he tell her he isn't Alba Arisha. Alba realizes he can't charm his way out of this, and once he's chosen to face his fate with everything he's got, there's no going back. After a quick pause, he doubles down again, insisting, point blank, that his name is Al. Alina grins and shoots back so smoothly that she tells him to tattoo that right onto his own body. She snaps forward and slashes at him on the spot, shouting that this is the crime and the punishment for betraying the Persia family. As he dodges her strike, he realizes just how deadly this is, because Alina is the best swordswoman in the game. But the real punch in the gut? She wears a heartbreakingly sad face instead of flying off the handle with anger. Just as she rockets in for another strike, he disappears in the blink of an eye, right before her eyes, leaving her and everyone watching stunned. She tries to process it, but then he pops up behind her and snaps, "Calm down!" And it hits her like a second wave, harder than the first. Alba whips her sword backward in shock, but then, without breaking a sweat, he snatches the blade with a single finger and freezes it in place, leaving Alba, Celia, and the entire crowd staring in disbelief. He makes it look effortless. His magic power just does the work for him. After fleeing his home, he hunted down a stash of magic books that swear fire, water, and wind are nature's true elements, and that you've got to sync your spirit with the one you're made for. Now it all clicks. Back when he was still playing, he'd obsess over every enemy's weakness before the fight even started. He follows the book's instructions, locks in his focus, syncs his mind with everything around him, and suddenly, something slips past his five senses, like a faint spark he can't quite explain. By pushing on with it, he finally realizes what he's truly born with, lightning coursing through his very nature. From that moment on, he keeps sharpening that feeling, hammering it into shape for years and until he finally conquers magic so completely that he can wield it with total freedom. Then, at last, he masters the art of turning his body into pure lightning so he can rip across vast distances in the blink of an eye. Now that he finally can, this power hits him like lightning, perfectly tailored for the biggest villain out there. Back in the present, he begs Alina to hear him out for once, but she slams the door on him. She's not taking one more second of his nonsense. He rushes in to apologize, admitting he knows she's still furious at Alba. Then he reveals the truth. He's just Al now. The moment she hears it, her whole body starts shaking with emotion and, right when she's about to answer, Alba blinks, then disappears again. The crowd gapes when he vanishes again, and just as they catch their breath, boom, so does the Saintess. With neither of them anywhere in sight, Alina finally clicks. Those two slipped out and vanished. Tears streamed down her face as a fellow student hurried over and asked if she was okay. She snapped, "I'm fine. I just got a little dust in my eyes." Meanwhile, Alba bursts straight into the city and figures they're finally far enough, while Celia can't believe she got whisked away like that, so Alba shoots her an apology right on the spot. He clocked that she was pouting at him, and it hit him like a silent warning. He fires back, asking if she's angry, and she snaps, "No, I'm not," then turns the tables. "Who is that beautiful lady, Alina?" Just as he's about to speak, Celia blurts out that even though Alina's got more maturity, a bigger chest, and turns heads everywhere, she's not jealous at all. Hearing that, Alba burst out laughing, and Celia shot her question right back at him, demanding to know why he was cracking up. He shoots back a warm smile, like he's already caught her, because she's a terrible liar. He shifts gears and asks if they should head to the house her father already set up, but Celia shuts it down, and that leaves him completely baffled. She tells him, crystal clear, "I'll only go if you carry me the whole way." And after a quick beat, he caves and agrees. From today's chaos, it looks like Alba is walking straight into non-stop trouble at Kriana Academy, right from the very first day. Later, when they finally step up to the house meant for them, both of them freeze because it's absolutely massive. As Alba scans the area, Celia spots something out of place and snaps, "Look!" She points straight at a vegetable garden and tells them, "We can grow our own crops too, just like we do up in the mountains." Alba can't stop staring. This house sits right in the royal capital's core, where people from everywhere crowd together. Celia's father must have paid a fortune just to have a two-story house with its own garden. No wonder that place screams, rich life. They step inside and boom, the place is spotless and beautifully furnished, with Alba and Celia each snagging their own private rooms up on the second floor. But there's one last problem to fix. Alba corners Celia and asks about it, and Celia snaps back that she hasn't gotten a single coin. Alba blurts out that maybe her dad slipped her some living money along with the house, but Celia shuts it down. Her father told her straight up that if she wants an ordinary life, she's got to earn her living herself. Alba can't help but feel relieved. Her dad isn't just spoiling her, he's pushing her to stand on her own. Celia then drops the bombshell that her father promised her money if life ever got too brutal. And the moment Alba hears it, he snaps out of his earlier doubts and decides her dad is still nothing but soft. Because their pockets are basically empty, Alba vows to grab work right away, until Celia steps in and snaps, "You don't have to work, I'll earn for both of us." Celia shoots back, explaining that her father already set everything up. She's got a job at the church waiting for her. The saintess is chosen by the goddess herself, crowned with sacred gifts, and one of them is oracle hearing, letting her catch the goddess's warnings early enough to dodge disaster after disaster. Another one is a healing spell so powerful it seals every wound and wipes out every sickness. So desperate believers, broken by trouble and illness, crowd in, praying the saintess's magic will save them. Celia gets her share of the donations pouring in from those believers. She took the role just to help everyone with her whole heart, yet the truth was darker. The brutal pilgrimages they sent her on since childhood weren't for that at all. He's convinced some greedy mastermind set it all in motion because every time her pilgrimages roll around, the church rakes in a fortune. So the saintess is basically a walking gold mine. When Celia clocks him scowling and asks what's wrong, his head snaps back, he hears her voice, and he brushes it off, saying it's nothing. He then tells her, "I'll work too, so she won't have to stress about money." Yet Celia still pushes back, asking why he's so sure, even after she's clearly said she'll earn enough for both of them. Alba snaps that letting the girl carry everything while the guy sits there doing nothing is a punch to his pride. But Celia fires back. Since they live together, it's totally fine. He shoots back, dead serious, telling her to save that kind of devotion for her future husband. Hearing that, she snaps and starts smashing Alba, even as he blurts out, "Why?" But the moment he sees her clearly, he clocks the tears already rolling down her face. Then she storms out, snaps that she's done caring, and tells him to do whatever he wants. He asks where she's headed, and she answers coldly that she'll be eating dinner alone. Later, Alba sprawls in bed and swears he said nothing wrong. Right now, he's just her companion, and she's already got a real match. Yuri isn't just the real heart of Cryana fantasy. He's stunningly handsome, and he can wield both a sword and magic like he's born for war. He's basically a real-life saint, nothing like the villains, especially Alba. And the wild part is that every heroine in the game ends up falling for Yuri. Alba's convinced that once this finally goes down, he'll have zero reason to stay by Celia's side. And now it's been 3 whole months since they first crossed paths. On the first day, when he led her to his cabin, her eyes lit up and she asked, "Wait, can I really stay here?" Alba grinned and told her, "Stay as long as you want," then reminded her, "You're not some saint, just a normal girl in here." A few days later, she jumped into the fields beside him, rolling up her sleeves to help harvest the vegetables. She even jumped in with him to learn cooking, and soon she knew every inch of that Goman bath he'd built. Under a sky full of stars in the mountains, they set out together at night. For the first time in his whole life, he finally exhaled into real peace with Celia right beside him. Right now, if he claims he won't miss her when she walks out, he knows that's a lie. But if Celia steps into the life that's waiting for her, he'll swallow his feelings and stand beside her. He tells himself, if this plays out, I'll dodge the death flag too. A few seconds later, Celia barges to his door, steps inside, and blurts out an apology for earlier. Then he notices it. Alba has already passed out the second before. She murmurs that he's the reason she's here right now, and as she tucks him under the sheet, she keeps thanking him without stopping. Later, when golden sunlight spills through the window and birds sing outside, Alba jolts awake, realizing it's already morning and scrambling to remember when he fell asleep, until he spots something waiting on the table. Celia left him food with a note, an apology for yesterday, and told him she'd gone to the church to handle her duties. After he reads the note, he thanks her, freshens up, then dives into the burger like it's calling his name. He takes one bite and grins. Finally, there's food he recognizes, and he can't help thinking the whole thing is tailor-made for this game world. Since Celia hits the church to rake in money, he's locked in, deciding to do the exact same thing. Soon, he storms into the Adventurers Guild, the kingdom's go-between that handles requests from everywhere and hands out missions. They take on everything, from quick deliveries to death-defying hunts against monsters called magic beasts, so every mission they get is a whole new kind of wild. The ones who dare to grab these deadly jobs aren't newbies at all. They're the battle-scarred crew hunting cash and glory, and everybody calls them adventurers. In Kriana fantasy, you don't need to grind through adventures to beat the story. But in real life, Alba's not taking chances, because diving into quests is the fastest ticket to cash. After scanning the quest board, he locks in on the gigantic Magic Beast Extermination mission, because that prize is a whopping 5 million curia, the currency that rules this world. Even though he's never faced a single magic beast, he's still locked in, because in the last 3 years, he forged power so strong he can't doubt himself now. Then the guards shout at Alba, telling him he's staring at the 5-star quest board and that there's no way a brand new guy like him is already sitting at 5 stars. When she hears that, Alba snaps back to the rule. Rookie adventurers are only allowed to take those simple 1-star requests. An adventurer's star rank climbs only when he crushes quests and chips in for the guild, so he can't score those huge rewards until he boosts that rank first. He strides into the reception area, and the receptionist greets him, then bluntly tells him this is the 1-star reception. He dives into the quest with her, then leans in and asks what type would fit him best. After scanning the rank 1 board, she hands him a wild herb collecting quest. Then he walks out of the guild like it's already time to hunt. That herb collecting gig doesn't pay much because he's brand new, but he has no choice. He starts small, keeps grinding, and climbs his rank step by step. Because the carriage ride to the western forest would cost a fortune, he drops it and sprints instead, plants his stance, then rockets off like lightning. He blazes through the scene so fast that everyone else just sees him as a streak of light. Meanwhile, 2 students from Kriana Academy march through town, and the girl groans that living in a dorm is pure misery. The boy shoots back, "Yeah, it sucks, but what can we do? Rent in the royal capital is brutally expensive." Even so, he's convinced they've lucked out. Somehow, they can still step into Kriana Academy even as commoners. And the girl nods like, "Yeah, I agree," right there. Right then, Alba shot past them so fast the girl swore it was just a gust, until the boy clocked what it really was, and his jaw dropped in disbelief. Turns out the boy is Yuri's, and not just any version. He's the real protagonist of the Kriana fantasy game. When she asks what's wrong, he brushes it off and says it's nothing, then stops, calling her Alice. Like that name hits harder than the truth. He shrugs it off and asks if she isn't buying way too much, and she just laughs back. A girl needs all kinds of stuff. Alba slams on the brakes the moment he realizes Yuri isn't the only one who clocked him. Then he spots Yuri too and goes, "Yep, I know you." Later, up in the mountains near Kriana Academy, Alba hunted down every last herb the quest demanded and managed to gather them all. With the job finally done, he readies to head out, and even though he's miles up in the mountains, he still can't stop himself. He hops from ledge to ledge with effortless springing, racing his way down. After years of living up in the mountains and crossing every brutal stretch of land, he moves through the terrain like it's second nature. When Alba finally shows up at the Adventurers Guild, the receptionist freezes, because it's only been 3 hours since he took the quest, and somehow he's already finished it. She asks how he pulled off such a fast return, because it's usually a 6-hour round trip. Alba finally admits he sprinted at breakneck speed, and that answer floors her. Now that the quest is done, she won't pry, she straight up hands him the quest reward. And just like that, he rakes in 10,000 curia in 3 hours from a 1-star quest. But it's nowhere near enough, so he realizes he has to shoot up the ranks fast if he wants bigger paydays. For now, he pushes all that aside and can't stop wondering how Celia's holding up. Inside the church, Celia steps into her role as saintess, hands clasped in prayer as she pours out her prayers for everyone who came to watch her. The priests beam because she's finally here, and her followers burst with joy to welcome her into their ranks. With the crowd flooding in for her, Celia raked in more than 10 times what Alba earned, snatched in the very same amount of time. Later in the capital, Alba digs into a steaming bowl of ramen, then is blown away, because this place isn't just good, it's a ramen shop, and he can't stop staring. Even so, the capital is where the Aricia Duchy lives. Alba's family roots run deep there, and now that 3 years have already gone by, his brother should have seized the house and the title by this point. Even though they're brothers, Alba bolted the second he got reincarnated, so they might as well be strangers, and he's got basically no clue where things stand between them. Since they never once denied the rumors of his death, you can bet they don't care about him one bit. Forget the rest. Unlike those mountains, the capital is packed with people who actually know Alba, so he can't slack off and get caught running into Alina. As he walks out of the ramen shop, he clenches his resolve, no lowering his guard now because anything could trigger a full-blown death flag. Right then, he hears people screaming, "Look out!" And the truth hits. They're all warning about a runaway horse. A girl drops to her knees as she scrambles to flee, and then the horse barrels straight at her. She can only shriek, completely powerless. The horse is just about to stampede over her, right this instant. A bolt of lightning rips through the crowd and smashes into the beast. As dust clouds roar into the sky, she's frozen when a burst of blue lightning rips through the haze. Then, once the dust starts to fade, Alba rushes in and asks her, "Are you okay?" As the view snaps into focus, you realize Alba already dropped the horse. Now she's standing tall on top of it. He checks on her again, right there in the moment, and she nods back with a relieved, "I'm okay." Alba hops off the horse, knocks it over, then throws it an apology, while the girl just grins and thanks him. She blurts that she's seen his face somewhere before, and it hits him like a punch to the gut. Because if she's a noble, it wouldn't be shocking at all for her to spot the Duke's second son, Alba. Before he even opens his mouth, the crowd explodes into roaring cheers. Raving about how totally awesome he is for taking down that wild horse, he yanks his hood up fast to hide his face. He couldn't just ignore her screams, so he acted. Then the realization hit. If he keeps standing out like this, someone might spot him and recognize him as Alba. Just as he's still mulling it over, a pack of knights charges in, and their leader steps up and demands what's causing all this noise. The girl, Alba, saved him on the spot, and the instant she recognized him, she gasped, calling him Duke Royarisha, because that twist hit her like a punch. Roy spots her instantly and fires back, asking if she's from the Lupika barony. She grins and says, "Yes, I'm Mina," and reminds him they already met at his succession ceremony. Then she tells him how the hooded man ripped her out of a runaway horse's path, and from their talk, calling him Duke and dropping hints about the succession ceremony, Alba can't shake the question, could this guy Roy be his brother? Then Roy steps in close, thunders out his gratitude to Alba for keeping public order and for being a real friend to the Lupika family. But Alba goes silent. He can't let Roy uncover the truth about who he really is. Roy gets no answer and presses, asking if Alba just won't accept his thanks or if she's flat out being rude. Alba snaps back, swears that's not true, and then slips away fast, muttering excuses as he goes. To his horror, Roy blurts out, "Alba!" and the sound snaps the world shut, shocking him so hard he freezes dead in his tracks. Roy then blurts that Alba's voice smells like his silly little brother, and that's why he shouted that name, right there, when everything started to shift. Still feeling uneasy, he demands Alba show his face. Then Alba's voice shakes as he snaps that his face isn't worth showing to a duke. But Roy's there, so what happens next? Roy shoots back with a stern command. This is his call, and he orders Alba to look at him. The air turns ice cold the second Alba steps into view, and he has no clue what deadly fate is about to slam into him. But right then, a voice snaps, "Al!" and they shout that they finally found him. And based on the way everyone already reacted, this guy is clearly a total legend among everyone in the room. Roy spots her instantly, Alina Persia, and she greets him politely, wishing him a good day. For Alba, it's a nightmare. Roy, the brother behind him, and his ex-fiancée in front both already know the real Alba, and that knowledge hangs over him like a trap. A tiger blocks his path while a wolf closes in from behind, and Alba realizes he's trapped, panicking, wondering what move could save him. Roy asks Alina who this man is, and she lights up with, "That's my friend Al, a squire in training." She says he was already late for their meeting, so she tracked him down, and then she quips that helping someone and still showing up late? Yeah, that's exactly the kind of mess a knight in training would pull. Alba is totally confused because she can't figure out why she's stuck covering for him. So Roy presses, "Does that mean you're not Alba?" And when Alina hears it, she snaps back totally confused, swearing there's no chance she could have mistaken Alba for anyone else. Especially when she used to be his fiancée. And she keeps reminding everyone that Alba is supposed to be dead. After that line, the two of them lock eyes and glare at each other for a few intense seconds. After that tense pause, Roy nods along and declares that his worthless brother who shamed the family is finally gone, and he even throws out an apology to Al, who waves it off with a simple, "It's okay." With that mess finally settled, Roy pushes to get Mina safely to her home. She agrees and thanks him, and right before they leave, she spins back to Alba and thanks him too for saving her. Alba just nods and accepts it. And with that, everyone storms off. Right behind them, Alina and Alba are left alone. Alba won't stay near her, so he bolts away, thanks her for saving him from trouble, then turns and walks off while waving goodbye. Still reeling from what just went down, he realizes his cover's intact, so he bolts before anyone catches on. But right then, he freezes again. This time, Alina snaps a sword up beside him and stops him dead in his tracks. She tells him to stop cold, says they need to talk, then drops the bombshell by calling him by his real name, Alba. He quickly looks away, asks what she's talking about, and she snaps that if he keeps pretending, she'll expose his identity to the Duke. Realizing she's clocked it, he finally throws in the towel and promises, "I'll explain everything." But the moment the words leave his mouth, frustration hits hard. He hasn't even started school yet, and he's already in hot water. He pins the whole disaster on the goddess of fate, convinced she never skips her next chance to torment him. The very next day at Kriana Academy, they kick off the entrance ceremony with a bang. The headmaster beams at the new students for getting in, then fires them up, telling them to grow their ambition and sharpen their wisdom every day, telling them they're the ones who will grab the future and drag it into the light. The headmaster, the very same old man who handed out that dress, thunders that fate's goddess might light up his destiny. Then he erupts into a loud, "Yeah! Hooray!" Seeing all that, Celia decides the headmaster is pure energy, and Alba remembers him from the game, right there as the helper who keeps dropping hints to the player. Once the ceremony wrapped up, Celia and Alba slipped into Kriana Academy without a hitch. Still no trouble so far. Alba can feel it. Inside this academy, his real death flags are about to start popping up one by one. 5 heroines are linked to these death flags, and every single one is flashing red. And right now, he's tangled up with not one but 2, Celia and Alina. And the moment he adds anyone else, that risk spikes straight up, like it could trigger his death at any second. One of the last heroines is the princess, a secret card no one ever sees at the academy, so she's not something you need to worry about. Yet. The real trouble is Alice and Lily, the 2 from his past and the sage's disciple, and Alba has to stay razor cautious around them because they're both his classmates. But here's what really scares Alba. There's one more person she has to dodge at all costs, and it's even worse than the 5 heroines. Yuri's the game's protagonist, and he's standing just a few people away. But the danger isn't only about who he is, but mostly because villains everywhere keep meeting their end at his hands. Right as Alba secretly keeps watch on him, their eyes lock, instantly. Alba snaps her gaze away fast enough to leave Yuri totally thrown off. Then, when Celia asks Alba what's wrong and Alice presses Yuri, both brush it off with a casual, "Nothing." Alba swore in total silence he'd stay miles away from Yuri, no matter what, and vowed to cruise through his academy days unnoticed. Later, in the unicorn classroom where Celia and Alba sit side by side, they suddenly get swarmed by a whole crowd of nosy students staring them down. Alba realizes fast there's no hiding while she's seated right beside the Saintess, the woman everyone whispers about and gapes at non-stop. But then he clocks Celia's shaking nerves and realizes a normal school life is going to be tough for her, while his mind races, trying to figure out what he can do. Celia suddenly jumps to her feet and declares, "I'm Celia Margaret," a first year in the unicorn class. She steps up and makes it crystal clear. She's not here as the Saintess. She's here as their classmate. and she tells everyone to just call her Celia. The classroom explodes into chatter, and she instantly steals everyone's hearts. So when the students start calling her Celia instead of Saintis, Alba's worries finally melt away. But the moment a girl asks, "Who's Alba?" everything turns messy fast. Other students spot his face, start whispering those ugly rumors, and stare at him like they're digging for dirt. Alba realizes far too late that this academy is packed with noble kids, and even after he scrambles his hair and flips his personality, the fear still gnaws at him, because sooner or later, they might figure out who he really is. Right then, Celia shot ahead, grabbed the moment, and introduced him as her friend Al, a Holy Knight apprentice. Alba can't even swallow the disbelief. No way it's real that she suddenly got friendly with someone this suspicious. Still, the others snap right to it, accepting the explanation and greeting him with open warmth, leaving Alba stunned, because she can feel the Saintis's terrifying presence in the air. Celia even winks at him, and he answers in silence, pure gratitude on his face. Right after that, another student steps up and greets Alba. Then the mask drops. It's Alina. Alba fires off, "So you're in the unicorn class too?" And Alina nods, smiling as she reveals they're classmates now. While the others hiss about her beauty and sword skills, Celia leans in and quietly asks Alba, "Is this the girl from the other day?" He finally admits it. He never used Al with her. He told her the truth about his real identity as Alba, because she's the woman who used to be his fiancée. Alina rushes in to apologize for the trouble she caused earlier, bowing to Celia and calling her "Your Holiness." But Celia is left reeling when she learns Alba and Alina were once engaged. After what happened with Roy, Alba finally sat Alina down and admitted, "Yeah, I'm really Alba." Alina, stunned by the reunion, blurts out if he really fled home 3 years ago just because he hated the ducal house. Then Alba steps in and says, "No, he wanted to cut loose from who he used to be and come back reborn as someone brand new." He refuses to even hint at his reincarnation because there's no way she'd believe it, and he's terrified it'll summon a death flag. Alina explains that 3 years back, the Aresia family sent word to her family to end the engagement for good, while rumors spun that he'd vanished, been declared dead, or even been dealt with by the Duke. And when Alba finally laughs, it's awkward, like she's admitting their view of him was already hitting rock bottom. Alina blurts out that her family practically cheered when they split up, thrilled to be done with that delinquent. Then Alba exhales, relieved for a second, and asks if she's the one who hated him too. She admits she used to call him a despicable, womanizing scoundrel, and even fantasized about cutting herself down with it. That confession hits Alba like a gut punch, and it leaves her terrified. But after a beat, Alina finally blurts it out. When she thought he was dead, she cried until her heart ached. That childhood memory comes roaring back. Alba, still young, asked Alina why she was crying, and she choked out that her father said her personality and sword skills were too masculine, so she should have acted more like a woman. Young Alba shot back, blunt as a sword, saying it didn't matter if she acted like a man or a woman. What mattered was Alina, pure and simple. And in that instant, pure happiness hit her. Realizing that, she finally admits it. Back in their youth, she never truly hated the Alba. That shocking reveal leaves Alba stunned, because the game never said a word about it, and it makes him wonder if the original Alba was even truly a villain. Alina keeps talking, jabbering that he now stands watch over the Saintis, and that just lately he threw himself into danger to save a woman when a runaway horse went wild. To her, that's the proof he's really been reborn. Alba just gives an awkward laugh, because deep down she knows the person inside is absolutely not the same. Alina whispers that he's turned into the very person he used to be, and while Alba can't make out the words, her confusion only lasts a second before she shrugs it off. Then she fires off the question, what is he going to do about the nobles at the academy who can't stand him? Alba just smirks and says he'll do his absolute best to make sure he never gets exposed. After a tense beat, Alina leans in and promises she'll help him, shocking him to his core. He thanks her with a warm smile, and she can't help but blush. Then she quickly reminds him that if he's helping her, she expects him to get in on her plan too. Since their engagement got shut down, she tells him the suitors won't stop. If they even show up at the academy, he'll have to chase them off. And that order hits him hard, because it clashes with the one thing he wanted most: staying invisible. Right now, Alba grabs Alina's attention and reminds him of their promise, then tells him straight up not to forget his own. Hearing their shattered engagement and realizing what it means, Celia snaps into action, her thoughts racing a mile a minute, stepping forward to confront Alina, who once again calls her her holiness. Celia hits the pause button and reminds her, "We're classmates," then demands everyone call her Celia. Alina nods right along, agreeing and asking for the exact same respect. Then she pats Celia on the head to say hello, and Celia's caught totally off guard. Celia shoots back a greeting, and just like that, they click instantly, with Celia staring at Alina like she's beautiful, while Alina can't stop thinking Celia is adorable. Celia storms up to Alba and demands answers. Why did he keep his connection to Alina hidden? Alba insists he didn't mean to hide it at all. He just never got the right moment to tell her. Celia shuts down the explanation with a stubborn pout, and Alina can't help but find it wildly charming. Right then, someone spots Alba clutching a flower in each hand while the Saintess and Alina stand there, and snaps, "Don't get carried away, you're just a Holy Knight apprentice." When Alba asks who he is, the man sneers at him like he's nothing but a clueless country bumpkin. Alina clocks him as Walby, the eldest son of Count Walget, and straight up tells her that he's one of the suitors she wants Alba to deal with. Walby steps up to Alina, raving about how stunning she is, and before he can even breathe, she snaps back with irritation, saying he never changes at all. Walby swears his family, though they're only counts, are still top-tier nobles, and he thinks a union with House Persia would be perfect, but Alina snaps at him that he better not show up at the academy with marriage proposals again. Shocked whispers sweep through the crowd, but Wall keeps his grip tight, because as classmates, he won't let this chance vanish. He hypes Alina as the Persia family's living jewel, royal blood flowing in her veins, and tells her she's worth far more than she's ever allowed herself to believe. With full confidence, he sweeps in and asks her to marry him, claiming it'll bring strength and happiness to both families. Before Lena can even open her mouth, Alba storms in and snaps that she's hearing nonsense, partly doing what Alina asked, but mostly spilling his own disgust for folks like Walby. Alba snaps that Walby isn't cut out for Alina. He can't see her real value, and that's why she rejects him. Walby's big claim hits like a truck. She goes silent on the spot, while the others and Celia breathe a sigh of relief because Alba finally stepped in. Alina, thrust back into that childhood moment with him, gets hit by a wave of raw emotion the second he speaks. Rage burns in Walby's chest as he demands to know how dare Alba insult the House of Walget. Swearing he'll never forgive this insult, he flings a handkerchief up into the air. Alba snatches it mid-blink, totally baffled, and blurts out, "What does this mean?" But then, boom, someone from the crowd yells that it means a duel, and it leaves him totally stunned. Kriana Academy runs on strict rules that ban students from fighting to the death, though if someone dares to insult your pride or dignity, you're allowed to settle it with a proper duel. To kick off a duel, you hurl a specific handkerchief at your opponent. If they catch it, that means they've just accepted, no questions asked. Duels are only allowed on the Academy's official dueling grounds, and you don't even start unless a referee is on the job. That referee is a sneaky black cat who calls itself Kate Sith, then steps in and declares the duel between Wall and an Alba. And right then, the crowd explodes into cheers, some roaring for Alba, some shouting for the Walby, and others just showing up for one reason: to catch a glimpse of that black cat. In the middle of the crowd, Celia blurts that she can't believe Alba actually took the duel, and Alina snaps back that running from a fight is a disgrace worse than death, then pushes Alba to get ready. Even as Alba tries to speak, she can't shake the shock. He barged into the duel by accident, and he didn't even know the rules. Walby jeers at him, calling him a backwoods bumpkin, pushing him to throw in the towel while he still has a shot. Then, before Alba can even answer, the referee cuts in and orders them both to lay out what their pride and dignity are fighting for. Alba remembers that in the game, duels were just a throwaway side thing, not tied to the main story at all, so they had zero to do with why he was doomed by a death flag. Walby smirks and says, "If Alba loses, I'm staying out of Alina's business, and then I'm taking the Saintess for myself." This crushes Alba's patience, and with his death flag not even mattering here, he just accepts it. He says, "If I win, Walby better stay far away from us." Walby nods in full confidence. Oaths binding both sides are locked in, and then the referee cat springs into action. Let the duel begin. With the crowd roaring, Celia leans in and demands to know if Wallbite really is that terrifyingly strong. Alina answers without blinking. Wallbite's a fire mage, and the whole class already calls him the deadliest in their year for raw, destructive power. Wallbite snaps into a chant, and a blaze swirls in his hand like it's being summoned for war. Alba clocks the situation and wonders if Walby's about to kick things off with a spell, because the mana is so thick and blazing that even the referee cat realizes he's charging up a high-level incantation. Bellowing the spell's name, Wallby hurls a raging purgatory flame fireball straight at Albuquerque. Celia hurls an explosion so brutal it rattles every soul in the room. Then, panicked, she screams Alba's name. With smoke swallowing the whole area, the crowd erupts in laughter, certain Alba's been turned to ashes. Then he turns to the referee and asks if duel killing counts as a crime. The cat shoots back, "No, it's not," and then reminds him that as the referee, it's there to stop stuff like that. While Walby's head spins, the referee explains it doesn't have to step in. Not yet. Right then, Alba pops up behind the wall and coolly tells them, with a calm smile, that the flames were downright impressive. But when he chants, he calls out one thing: Wallby leaves himself wide open. Walby's jaw drops so hard he can barely string words together, so he blurts out, demanding to know how Alba popped up behind him, while the referee cat stares in awe, absolutely stunned by Alba's speed. Anyone who's seen Alba battle before knows that move, his teleportation, snapped out in a blink, and they can't help but wonder how he pulls it off. Alina flashes back to the first time they met at the academy, when he dodged her strike with this exact ability and then snatched it at insane speed, like it was nothing. And now, she can't stop thinking his movements feel almost inhuman. Before she can wrap up her sentence, another voice cuts in. Lightning. The girl clarifies fast. Alba doesn't make lightning at all. He turns his own body into the phenomenon itself. She explains that magic is basically forcing impossible things into the real world, and Alba just becomes one instantly. The other students stare in shock at her sudden arrival, then burst into whispers. Sure, they think she's adorable, but what really eats at them is who she's supposed to be. She brushes their comments aside and wonders if this is exactly why Alba can cast magic without chanting, though it's still brutally hard for her to pull off. And she's convinced most people here can't even begin to understand just how dangerous this really is. As soon as the announcement hits, Alba blurts his name back and then snaps that the power he's showing is her masters, the sages, so there's no way she's going to lose to him. Meet Lily, one of Kriana's heroines and the sage's disciple. Seconds later, Alba shows up behind him, and as he backpedals in a blur, Alba snaps that she won't let him slip away again. Then he slams into a fresh chant, casting another spell. As that endless, draining chant grinds on, Alba snaps at him to stop, again warning that chanting always leaves him riddled with openings. But Walby still won't listen. Alba goes full lightning again and slams down with a strike. Just as the chant is barely starting, he gets slammed mid-words, and the attacker shoves him hard out of the way. Walby gets launched out of the ring like a cannonball and smashes into the ground, and Alba can't help but panic. Did he go too far? But Walby's already left the ring. The ring goes still as the referee cat declares Alba the winner. Then every student erupted into cheers for Alba, and the cat nurses sprinted to Walby, checked him over, and found him unconscious, but perfectly unharmed. In the crowd, two students locked in hard on every move: Yuri, the real protagonist, and his childhood friend Alice, the other heroine. They're staring at Alba like she just broke the rules, casting without a single chant, and it feels straight up impossible to them. Alice can't stop smiling after the duel, so she asks Yuri what he thinks. He nods and says, sure, it looked like Alba wiped out Wallby with one strike, but the truth is, Alba never once landed a punch. He just drove his arm forward at insane speed, blasting out a shockwave strong enough to fling wall after wall. Alice is blown away the moment she hears it, and Yuri confirms it with absolute certainty. Alice then shoots back that Alba isn't the only one who's unbelievable, because while she and the other students could only catch a smear and a flash of blue, Yuri somehow saw the motion up close, clear, and fully understood it. Curious, she blurts out, so who'd win if Yuri's and Alba actually fought? Yuri freezes. Then Alice explains it like this. Because he can track Alba's every move, he might just be able to slip in the counter first. She won't let it go until he admits he'll still lose, and Yuri shoots back, yup, then adds, they don't even need to fight. After a quick pause, he finally admits it. If Alba ever dares to bring sadness to the people he loves, he won't let it break him. After the duel, Alba collides with Celia and Alina. Celia gushes about his brutal strength, while Alina stares in disbelief, blurting out, when did you learn to wield power like that? He tells her he honed his skills deep in the mountains, but the truth is, it wasn't just training. It was the real Alba's natural gift, and only he in this whole world knows that secret. In the game, Alba is a powerhouse who can take over as the final boss, and if he trains hard and grows stronger, he'll get so unstoppable he won't lose, even to the protagonist. With the chance to become the strongest looming right in front of him, the protagonist finally feels sure, because his confidence in his own power isn't just wishful thinking. Alina points out how wild it is that Alba used to hate effort, but now he trains like a beast, like he's totally someone else. And Alba tells her, don't you get it? I've been reborn into a brand new self. Celia then blurts out, was the old Alba really that awful? And Alina snaps back, calling him the absolute scum of the underworld, leaving Alba standing there awkward as hell. Yet Celia presses on, saying that no matter what, even after all of that, to her, Alba is the best. She grabs him in a big hug, and it makes him smile and remind her all over again to call him Al back at the academy. He blurts out, did I go too far in that duel? But Celia shuts him down fast. She says he didn't, and anyone who messes with Alina should be thrown straight through the air. She swears that if disaster strikes, she'll heal him, and he praises her as a dependable saintess. Watching them close up, Alina feels something start to stir in her chest. She grabs Alba's hands and thanks her, because Alba just dueled for her. He reminds her of his promise to protect her, and Alina's cheeks flare with a blush as she nods and agrees. Alba thinks everything's totally fine, because he's convinced those duels have nothing to do with his death flag. But fate keeps charging ahead, and even though he doesn't know it, the key players are already getting pulled into the story. A few days later, back in their capital home, Alba is fast asleep when Celia barges in and shakes him awake for breakfast. She climbs on top of him and demands he says good morning. Then he gasps, saying he can't breathe. She smirks like, I'm doing this because you wouldn't have woken up otherwise. Fresh from getting cleaned up, Alba plops down at the dining table and digs in. Then he spots the food she made and cheers her on, saying her cooking has gotten way better. She shoots back, reminding him she spent a ton of time training up in the mountains. Then he offers to cook dinner for the night, and she grins, saying she wants a taste of the nikujaga he makes. After they finish breakfast, they gear up to head for the academy, and Celia grabs his attention to remind him his lunch is a must, so he flashes her a grateful thank you. Alba stops mid-step, stares at the lunchbox, and realizes it's almost identical to the bento he used to get in his past life. Celia demands to know what's wrong, but he brushes it off as nothing, so she grabs his arm and tells him to move or they're going to be late. Celia lights up and says the academy classes are super fun, then asks what he thinks, only for him to admit they're insanely hard. On the way to the academy, they bump into a few friends, and there's Alina too, so he flashes a good morning to her and the others like it's no big deal. Later in class, Alba twirls his pencil and lets himself savor the calm, like his life at the academy has finally found its peace. Ever since that duel on day one, he's been watching, because not a single death flag has dared to show up. When the teacher calls out for an answer, Celia leans in and hushes Alba to focus, while Alina steps up, answers the question, and earns instant praise. After class ends, Alba stalks the empty hallway by himself because every other student keeps their distance and nobody comes near. This convinces him he went way too far in that duel, and it leaves the students absolutely petrified of him. And honestly, because of that twist, he dodges every single one of those death flag disasters. So yeah, he should be grateful. But deep down, it still leaves him feeling kind of lonely. While everyone's still eating, Alina slips over to Celia and tells her, "Where's Alba?" Celia can't even hide her shock, ranting that Alba is just unbelievable, like he. He devoured his bento all alone before the break even began, then swore he was taking a nap, and sure enough, he vanished and is now knocked out under a tree. When Alina hears that, she can't shake the thought that he hasn't changed one bit, because he's still the same delinquent through and through. Alba dodges lunch with them because she knows that if she grabs a meal with the heroines, it spikes their favorability fast. Even though it kills him to feel bad for Celia, he can't afford to mess around. One wrong move and a death flag could snap shut. Just as he's nodding off, a girl suddenly shows up, asks if she can sit with him for lunch, and he's so stunned he can barely speak. Turns out the stranger is the girl he saved from that runaway horse, and she throws him a fresh wave of gratitude again. He spots her face, but her name vanishes from his mind. So the girl leans in and says, "It's Mina." She can't believe it. Through their duel, she just learned he's a first year at the same academy as her. Alba shoots back that he's just as shocked she's here too, and then Mina leans over and reaches her lunchbox out to him. With nerves fluttering in her chest, she blurts out that she wants to thank him, so she made him a bento and hands it to him, asking him to take it. Alba's jaw drops. This hits way too close to a lunch event from the game, like the universe is messing with her. But he can't find a single heroine named Mina in his memory, so yeah, this girl is almost definitely just a side character. Since Alba won't answer, Mina assumes it's a hard no, then she rushes to apologize, saying she must have been bothering him. He snatches the bento from her hand in a blur, then shoots back a quick thank you. He says he'll take it without hesitation, and it lights up her face like pure joy. Because Alba's not the main character, she figures nothing could go wrong with stealing her bento. Under the tree, Alba starts digging into the food, and he blurts out how insanely delicious it is. Then Mina hears him and shoots back, "For real?" Because the moment she does, pure happiness lights up her face. She keeps calling him Sir Al, so he snaps and tells her to drop the Sir since they're classmates, and the moment he says it, she switches to Al. Alba snaps at her not to get too close, and the girl shoots back, "Why?" He grins and tells her the truth. Stick by a guy like him, and everyone might start brushing her off too. And that, he says, would be the real problem. She finally gets what Alba means, then fires back. This is her choice. She doesn't care a bit what anyone else thinks or how they think she should look. Alba stuns him with her unshakable will and those honest, focused eyes. So he's convinced she's the kind of strong-willed character you meet in the game. Mina then adds, "There are perks too." And when that leaves Alba totally confused, she blurts out an example. If she plays nice with him, he might save her again. When they hear that, both of them burst out laughing, and he grins and says he'll do everything he can to help her. Right then, someone slips up to them and asks if they're having fun. Alba's whole world jolts. It's Celia, plastering on a fake grin as she says he wouldn't have lunch with her. Yet, somehow, he's flirting with another girl right in front of her. Alba snaps to his feet and blurts that it's all a misunderstanding. He's not flirting with Mina. Mina stands up too and blurts that she's heading back to class, leaving Alba completely baffled. Then, just as she walks away, she greets Celia and slips out with a quick excuse. Mina's sudden bolt out leaves Celia and Alba utterly stunned. But as soon as she spots Celia as the Saintess, she hurries off like she's got another reason waiting just out of sight. Alba shrugs off the rest and tells them the girl was Mina, his classmate he helped back then, and Celia's eyes widen as she asks, "Wait, was she the one you saved from that runaway horse?" He nods, and the memory hits him. She's from the Lupika barony, and Alina already knew her too. Celia then points out that since she's their classmate, she could be stepping into the next event. That lands like a punch in the gut of Alba, because it snaps him back to the truth. The event is finally starting. Kriana Fantasy kicks off its first big in-game event with the youth field trip, and it all starts when the headmaster proposes it. Students get thrown into the Neep forest battling magic beasts while they scramble for medicinal herbs. Basically a hands-on crash course for new players on how to fight, So yeah, only the weak magic beasts are supposed to show up, which should make it pretty safe, but it's still a huge deal, because it could go wrong. Depending on what the player chooses, you can tighten your bond with one of the heroines, but if you pick Alba, it flips into a deadly death flag, and he's quietly doing everything he can to dodge it. Later that day, the students got whisked away on their field trip to the Neep forest. A little shaky, Celia blurts out if fighting magic beasts isn't terrifying, and Alba just grins. Don't worry, everyone's watching, and only weak beasts will show up. Alina then quickly reassures Celia, grinning that she's got her sword and everything's fine. Then a teacher snaps everyone to follow behind him, swearing he's the kind of teacher who won't get beaten by any magic beast. Even though the teacher's acting all confident right now, Alba, who's seen this play out before, can tell the moment about to hit is going to rip that smile clean off their face. From what he can remember, the game throws him 4 choices, and one of them is to rush in, rescue the students, and treat them right there with Celia. Pick your path. Team up with Alina to take on the magic beast, or risk everything to rescue Alice, her childhood friend who got torn away back then, while the last option is wrapped in confusion, because Lily's story is there, but he can't quite recall the details. For now, we're setting that aside. Out of the 4 options, the hero is guaranteed to show up. So Alba has to pick like his life depends on it, because if he chooses the same road as the protagonist, he'll be trapped in the exact same fate. As the field trip kicks off, Celia whips her head around the jungle, trading laughs with her friends, while Alina blasts through monster after monster, leaving the whole class gaping in awe. Meanwhile, Yuli's and Alice are trading secrets and laughs, while Lily keeps her head down, quietly lost in a book. Meanwhile, the teacher starts barking orders, telling the students to stay calm and not make reckless moves, because right now, they're about to step into the magic beast's habitat. Suddenly, he feels the ground tremulous under him and catches a weird presence in the air. Then it crawls nearer and nearer until it hits him exactly what it is. But it's already over. When the monsters surge dangerously close, he finally realizes this is a stampede. Panic erupts across the students as the teacher fights to keep control, barking orders for everyone to retreat right now. Celia, hanging near the teacher's group, spots the beasts and freezes in shock, while Alina rushes in, trying to steady everyone before panic takes over. While monsters close in, Lily catches a weird presence lurking nearby, and then Alice gets split from Ulyss, who snaps his sword out the moment he sees the students bolting in panic. Alba saw this coming with chilling certainty, and now she's fully convinced. This is the legendary stampede of demonic beasts, The teacher orders every student to keep their cool and run out of the forest. Then he stays behind as a decoy to draw the danger away. As the monsters close in fast, Celia's friends shout for her to run, and she nods, ready to bolt, while Alina snaps everyone to stay calm and crowd behind her. True to his promise, the teacher throws himself into the battle, fighting tooth and nail to stall the monsters, giving the students the precious seconds they need to flee. Meanwhile, Alba keeps his cool, eyes locked on the next move, because one wrong step here could shake the bond he's building with the heroines. The nearer he gets to any of them, the closer he slides toward his death flag, so he has to dodge that fate at any cost. So he locks onto Alba's exact trail from the game, determined to follow the original villain's path step by step, to torch his entire life and flee into the unknown. Celia and her crew finally scrambled to a safer spot. Then, out of nowhere, a bear-like monster lunged and tore into one of them. Celia's cry slices through the air, pure terror, pulling the creature's focus straight onto her. And when it barrels toward her, she squeezes her eyes shut and screams Alba's name, frantic over where he's disappeared to. In the blink of an eye, Alba rockets in like lightning and blasts the bear away with a single kick. Celia snaps her eyes open, spots Alba, and floods with relief as she blurts out his name. After Alba smashes the monster, he grabs Celia by the moment and demands she flee the forest right now. She's grateful he saved her, but she won't budge and refuses to run. With her healing magic blazing, she patches up her battered friend, then confesses she's scared to the bone, still. She swears she won't stop because she's determined to help everyone. She's convinced Alba's power can pull everyone back from the brink, so she begs him to use it and save them all. When Alba heard her say it, he nodded. Right then, logic vanished, and those death flags stopped mattering. Now he's convinced that fleeing to save only himself would be pathetic, so he agrees to Celia's request, vows he's got everything under control, and she warns him to stay careful. Meanwhile, Alina squares up to a mantis-like monster and wipes it out in seconds, like it doesn't even stand a chance. Then she blurts for everyone to run, only for 2 more monsters to crawl out behind her before she even gets a chance to react. Right before the monsters can lunge, Alba unleashes lightning and obliterates them on the spot, shredding them into dust. He asks if she's okay, and she's shocked to see him. Then she grins and says, "I'm fine. Don't you dare underestimate me." Alba nods and tells her he knows exactly how skilled she is. Then her whole face lights up with joy. Still, he snaps that she needs to stay alert because overconfidence gets people killed, and she nods in agreement. Then he tells her he's heading deeper into the forest and orders her to watch over this area, and she shoots back, "Be careful too." Then he pushes deeper into the forest, tearing through monsters and cutting down as many as he can. From what he remembers, the game hands you an ending only after you crush the boss hiding in the forest's deepest heart. But what really gnaws at him is the kind of demonic beasts showing up. This is a beginner-only event, so it should be stuck with low-level monsters, not this. But the monsters crashing in aren't the random kind. They're the ones that show up in the game's midsection, and he can feel the story slipping away from the original because he's been moving and reacting completely off-script from the lore. When he finally pushes into the forest's darkest depths, he locks eyes with the final boss, only to find it has transformed too. A 3-headed, demon-spawn nightmare called the Chimera. Because he can still remember getting wrecked by that monster, he knows this isn't some harmless tutorial boss at all. Then, out of nowhere, screams for help shatter the air, and he freezes in pure shock. Turns out the student is trapped. Chimera's snake-like tail has him pinned, and the real gut punch is this. Alba recognizes that girl. It's Alice, the heroine, who steps up, introduces herself, and blurts, "I need your help," before admitting she got lost, and, right after, the monster caught her. Tied to his death flag or not, he can't abandon her. So he snaps into action and charges at the Chimera in one swift strike. To his shock, his strike lands with nothing. Then the Chimera snaps back, blasting him with a burst of fire, and he barely dodges at the last second. Alice then blurts out that the Chimera's form is shifting at breakneck speed, and it leaves him even more utterly baffled. She breaks it down for you. One phase chews through magic, but crumples under brute force. Then the next phase flips the rules entirely, swapping the strengths and weaknesses with 2 totally different patterns. Because he's blasting it with lightning, the Chimera is in that magic won't touch me phase right now. And once Alba realizes it, everything clicks. She finally gets why he was getting wrecked by this boss in the game. In the game, that monster wouldn't fall unless the player's allies teamed up and hit it together. Realizing that, he decides to sling magic to slash the gap, then smash in with pure physical force. He sticks to the plan and lands the hit clean. Then the Chimera snaps up and starts talking out of nowhere. I told him that a punch like that is pointless and that he'll never win. Right after that, it strikes back. Alba slips out of the way in a flash and backs off before it can land a hit. Even if beating someone with bare fists does like a death wish, he has to make it work because he showed up with 0 weapons. Alice screams that his attempt is pathetic and orders him to do better, and that insult totally hacks off Alba, who shoots back that Alice has no business talking, considering she's the one being captured. Rage blazing, the monster clamps down and tightly coils around Alice, tearing through her with relentless, unbearable pain. Right before it could crush her, the serpent's body gets ripped apart in a brutal slash. She's freed in an instant. Alba is left reeling because the culprit behind it all turns out to be Uli. Alice says she knew Ulysse would come rescue her, and he grins. Of course he would. The monster snaps its attention off Alba and locks onto Ulysse, who carefully lays Alice under a tree, tells her to rest, and steps in to deal with the creature himself. He rockets forward to strike the chimera, barking, "Are you furious too?" Because his own gray is blazing. How dare it hurt someone he holds dear? Alba can't believe her eyes as she watches the battle unfold. Ulysse is landing lightning-fast surgical strikes, and even though she expected it, seeing it up close still hits her hard. But somehow, every strike he lands just slides off the chimera like it doesn't even register. Alice bursts in and explains the monster's twist. Its weakness doesn't stay fixed. It used to crumple under physical hits, but now it shrugs them off like nothing, which means it has to be hurting from magic right now. Got it! And Alba bursts right back into the brawl, then slams a lightning-charged kick that hits like pure thunder. This time, the attack finally lands, smashing one of the chimera's heads and dealing massive damage. Even though Ulysse is the last guy Alba wants anywhere near her team, she swallows her grudge, teams up with him, and boldly promises she'll lend him a hand to end the battle fast. Meanwhile, Alice can't help but stare, buzzing with excitement as this new development explodes onto the scene. Ulysse hammers Alba for a plan, and Alba just stares back like, "There's no master scheme, there's only one thing we can do." Ulysse nods in agreement, and they both slam forward, sprinting straight at the chimera side by side. Alba lunges in first with a lightning kick, but the chimera twists its weakness again, snuffing out the hit before it can even land. That move cracks open a chance for Uli to slam in a strike, and right after it, he urges them to trade hits back and forth. Alba nods and agrees. From across the distance, Alice stares in horror, convinced the chimera picked the wrong enemies, because when blocking Alba's magic pulls away its guard, Uli's blade starts dancing in. And by smothering Uli's swordwork, he leaves her blade wide open for Alba's magic to hit. This bond turns the two of them into an unstoppable first-year tag team, like an unbeatable duo straight out of the strongest rookie lineup. Ulysse freezes at the sight of Alba's advanced lightning magic, terrified by every crackle of power while Alba clocks Ulysses' swordsmanship speed, and it terrifies her just as much. Side by side, they crush the chimera without breaking a sweat. Then, once the fight's over, Ulysses grabs Alba's attention and pours out his gratitude for getting Alice back safe and sound. Alice chimes in too, but Alba waves it off like, "Nah, it's nothing." Ulysse shifts gears and blurts, "Wait, how did you know both our names when you only heard mine in our duel?" Alba freezes for a second, then smooths it over by claiming he keeps tabs on the toughest students his age. Alice rolls her eyes at how childish it sounds, but she still buys it because Ulysse is the strongest kid back in their village. So when Alba asks if Ulysse and Alice are childhood friends, it hits right at home since they're both from the same place. Ulysse confirms they grew up together, and that's why he's finally able to breathe, knowing she's safe. Then Alice presses, "So you really worried about her?" And Ulysse answers, "Yeah, she's basically a little sister to me." Hearing that, her smile slips. She clicks her tongue, then softly repeats, "Little sister," like it hurts to say. Alba clocks it in the nick of time, then she swings and punches Yuli out of nowhere, claiming she can be the older sister too. And just like that, Alba realizes Yuli's hands are completely full. Ulysse tells them to head back, but because he and Alice hail from the Holy Wolf group, while Alba's on the Holy Horse side, Alba decides to slip back alone. Still, Yuli insists they should at least meet halfway, and Alice even tells him to stop acting so distant because, hey, they're friends. But he shuts it down, snaps that he hates being dragged around, even though the truth hits harder. To him, every step with them screams death flag, and he can't ignore it. Because he's determined to go solo, Ulysse doesn't push the issue. He shrugs it off and accepts his choice. Right before they split, Ulysse leans in and swears that he'll never forget Alba's kindness. In his head, Alba snaps at Uli. "Don't look at him with that kind smile." Because their fates are already sealed, One day they'll tear each other apart as rival enemies. And honestly, it would have been way easier if Ulysse had shown a nasty attitude toward him from the very beginning. Right after they leave, Alba whips around to the nearest tree and snaps, "Who's there?" Then he smirks and tells the hidden figure, "I've known you've been watching us the whole time." He can't spot them at all, so he blurts out if it's invisibility magic, then the other person just goes silent. Alba then declares, "Don't bother hiding. Once I'm in my lightning state, I can sense every presence around me." He snaps again, "Hurry up and show yourself," and demands answers, wondering if she's friend or foe. Then she blurts out in shock that he can spot her invisible camouflage so effortlessly. The moment she kills the invisibility magic, the figure flickers into view. Lily. And that reveal leaves Alba reeling. Lily steps in and boldly introduces herself, sure Alba has no idea who she is. Alba fires back, "How do you even know my name?" And she answers with a grin, "Come on, there isn't a single first year who doesn't know you." He shows off after that duel, and it instantly crushes Alba's mood because now he's furious he ever touched that stupid wall, and he blames the whole disaster on him. He drops the topic and demands to know why Lily was hiding, and she finally admits that when she got there, everyone was already locked in a fight, so she just watched. Then she drops the bombshell that this rare kind of magic is the only thing she's ever truly heard about from her own master.
He said.
Alba perks up and asks if she means his lightning, but she shakes her head hard and orders him to look at the chimera. Right then, the chimera starts unraveling into smoke as Alba freezes in shock, watching its whole body vanish into nothing. Alice then lays it out. Chimera vanished because its magic bled out, since it was a weird transfer from another dimension, basically a fake copy. But it all sails right over Alba's head, leaving him totally lost. So Alice keeps talking, breaking down how this ties directly into the magical theory behind building interdimensional phenomenon. Even now, he still doesn't get it, so she fires back, repeating the theory's name again. She breaks it down. Making fire isn't magic, it's just tools working together to grind out frictional heat, and that law of the world always holds. Magic isn't like that. It shatters the rules of nature by conjuring fire out of thin air. Somewhere out there, a mage cooked up a chimera, summoning a magic-made copy of a strange phenomenon, and dropped it into our world from somewhere beyond the stars. When Alba hears it, she blurts, "So it vanished because it wasn't a real chimera? Because someone made it with magic?" Lily nods and says it's a rare kind of magic that regular folks can't touch. Alba's gut tells him this magic is coming from someone close. But before he can even finish, Lily cuts in, saying the attackers aren't just showing up, they're hunting the students. Those same mages who forged the chimera are watching the whole scene from a distance, like they're calling every move in real time. One of them blurts out, shocked that a first year can actually go toe-to-toe with a chimera, and then admits the Kriana Academy totally blows them away. The other mage shrugs and says, "Of course, Kriana Academy is one of the three great powers, standing shoulder to shoulder with the royal family and the church." The mage pushes everything else aside, calls her Yoru, and tells her the brutal truth. She's out of mana, so the spells are done. And that's when they decide to fall back. Yoru, the mage, calls out to Malady and demands to know if another chance is really coming. She shoots back, telling Yoru to deal with it herself, and Yoru counters that her powers just aren't made for group battles. Then the two mages vanish with a teleport. Meanwhile, Alba stewed in deep thought. This was supposed to be a simple tutorial in the game, but now it screams that his suspicions are right. The whole scenario is shifting fast. He can't shake the feeling that the mages who forge magical beasts might be tied to his death flag. So if they're really out to kill him, he's going to show them zero mercy. After the chimera vanished, Lily rushes in with the news. She's convinced the enemy's gone from the forest, so Alba doesn't waste a second, turns around to rejoin the others, and orders Lily to do the same. As he walks away, Lily snaps his attention and demands who taught him magic. He just smiles and says, "I did." Shock hits her so hard she mutters a few words under her breath in another language, like she's trying to process it, before she blurts out that she finds him utterly fascinating and admits she's been hooked on him ever since. She says it, then she's gone, leaving Alba frozen in pure shock. because he suddenly remembers, in this moment, the player can deepen their bond with Lily, too. Meanwhile, Celia rushes to heal the wounded students while Alina battles the monsters back. Then, one by one, they start vanishing into thin air. When Alice sees it, her mind clicks. Someone had to be behind this, while Lily, in the background, lets out a quiet little giggle like she knows exactly what happened. Alba grinds his teeth. He's just realized he accidentally raised a death flag right alongside all the other heroines. Still, when he finally finds his way back to Alina and Celia, a wave of relief hits him. Everyone's safe. At the academy, the Black Cat barged in and told the headmaster everything, making it crystal clear no one had died. The headmaster gratefully thanks the cat for its report and calls it Tamakuro. And right when Tamakuro starts hinting at the enemy's real goal, the headmaster cuts in fast, claiming it might have been the first-year students, or maybe something else entirely. What gnaws at him is this. He can't pin down the enemy at all, and even the headmaster is staring at the mystery, clueless about who they are or where they came from. He lets them know, loud and clear, don't you dare underestimate this academy. Roy Aracia arrives on the scene, and the teacher spills the truth. Fake magic beast stampede. Roy's not shocked for a second. He snaps orders to the knights to scatter and tear through the whole forest, and they follow instantly, no questions asked. With everything he'd gathered so far, Roy couldn't shake the thought, maybe the real target was never the first-year students at all. Meanwhile, the students get herded to a safe haven, and the teacher swoops in, thanking them for their hard work, then points out exactly where they'll crash for the night. Everyone's stunned, because the place is... In onsen, the teacher tells everyone about a magical bath that can heal injuries and wipe out illnesses, and then urges the students to climb in, rest, and recover. This makes Alba stare, impressed that the academy dared to turn a terrifying incident into a classroom game. So when Celia hears it, she shoots him a question. What's he talking about? And as he breaks it down, telling her the magic beast attack was real, she snaps back. Wasn't that just a normal practical combat class? Because the whole thing had scared him stiff. Alba freezes, shocked at how completely out of the loop she's been. Then Alina blurts at the top of her lungs that the magic beasts were already prepared by the academy. As Alba tries to set her straight, she snaps back, I already know, then coldly explains that it's just convenient to bury the truth like that, so nobody panics. Hearing that, he whips his head around and spots the other students, totally clueless about what really went down, while they chatter with excitement about hitting the hot springs. And it hits him. She might be right. And he's convinced that, just like the three of them, plenty of other students sensed that something was off. While Alba and Alina dig into the serious details, Celia is totally in the dark. She just blurts out that she's completely confused. She snapped that none of it made sense, and that was when Alina rushed in with an apology, swearing she'd break everything down clearly. Later, Alba sprawls on the ground and rolls around like he's in a dream, and another student blurts, "What are you doing?" Alba grins and says he's tasting the tatami and soaking up the soul of Japan. Then the next student jumps in like, wait, what does that even mean? Those moments hit him like a thunderclap, reminding him this is a game world, so of course it blends Japanese and Western style together. Just as one student's stomach growls, another snaps, dinner comes after the bath. So they bolt straight for the hot springs, trading strict warnings not to peek into the women's bath. And when Alba hears that, it flips a memory in her mind. In the Crayana fantasy world, there's a secret optional event where you can sneak a peek into the women's bath. If the player picks this option, they'll get to see the heroines in a hot, revealing state. But the moment they do, their hearts crash to -1, and romance with them is locked out for good. There's a hidden event players are supposed to steer clear of if they want to beat the game right. But Alba can't bring himself to raise his affection with the heroines. So now he's asking the dangerous question. Could triggering it be the move that keeps his death flags from catching up to him? Soon, he barrels into the hot springs with the rest of the students. While he wonders if that could be true, he hears the girls chatting on the other side of the wall, and suddenly, their faces flash in his mind so clearly it feels real. His nerves are screaming, but he swears to himself he doesn't even want to look. He's only thinking about it, so he won't trigger death flags. Right then, he jolts when Ulysses suddenly calls his name and asks if everything's okay because he can tell he's drifting off. Alba's voice shakes as he answers, and Ulysses snaps, "What's with that face?" Alba forces out that everything's fine, insisting the timing couldn't be more perfect. Then he dives straight into the hot spring, finally admitting he can't bring himself to do something that pathetic after all. Meanwhile, on the women's side of that wall, Alina looks at Alba and blurts out just how thankful she is for the way she helped her out with the whole wall situation. She blurts out asking Celia if she likes Alba since she lives with him. Then Celia instantly panics and shakes her head, denying it. She tells him that, just like Alina, she's thankful Alba saved her and that Alba is someone she genuinely respects, an amazing person. Right then, Alice suddenly pops up beside them and blurts, "Alba saved me too!" And because Celia and Alina have never seen her before, they immediately demand, "Who are you?" Alice steps up and introduces herself as Alice from the Fenrir group. Then Alina and Celia jump in right after, introducing themselves to match. Moments later, Alice spills it. Alba saved her from the Chimera, and when Celia hears that, she isn't even shocked, just says that's exactly what Alba does. Alice nods along, and since they're already talking about the Chimera, she adds that once it was defeated, every other magic beast vanished too. Once Alina hears it, she's fully convinced someone engineered that fake stampede to hit the students. And Celia can't shake the horror, staring at the question like, who would do something like that? Then she catches Alice locked on her, and when she asks what's going on, Alice shoots back, "So, are you the Saintess?" The moment Celia confirms it, Alice snaps, grabbing the exact spot on Celia, and Celia erupts in a scream, because she can't take it anymore. Alice shoots off an apology and blurts that she's just too overwhelmed with joy to even let herself touch the Saintess, while Celia tells her she doesn't need to do any of that. Seeing that, Alina snaps that Celia is a hypocrite, because Celia had pulled the very same stunt on her just minutes ago. Hearing the scream, Alba crackled with lightning and shot over the wall in a blur, landing with a perfect view of the girl's side of the hot spring. The chaos doesn't stop there. When they spot him, the girls erupt in screams. Celia calls him a pervert, and Alice, with no glasses on, squints desperately trying to confirm whether Alba is totally naked. Alba tries to blurt out that he only got worried after he heard the scream, but before he can finish, Alina snaps and hurls a wooden bucket straight at him, and it lands with a solid hit. As Alba tumbles down, Uli fires back that he gets it. He rushed over after that scream, but you still don't get to sneak a peek. And here's the bigger warning. Don't blast lightning anywhere near a hot spring either, because if it's not Yuli's, everyone else keels over from the shock. Alba can't help but wonder, does this even count as him pulling off a win in the peaking event? Or is he just fooling himself? After Yuli finds out the whole chaos was Alice's doing, she rushes in to apologize, and then forces Alice to say sorry too. Yuli admits she couldn't help it because the Saintess she'd been worshipping was standing right there. While Celia blames herself for how loudly she screamed, Alba fires back and snaps that Alice is a total troublemaker. Alice snaps that Alba is only jealous of the view she got. Alba shoots back fast, insisting it's not true, but Alina and Celia don't buy a word and they turn ice-cold hostile. And even as their feelings start to fade, it still leaves Alba a little stung. Ulysses then blurts out that the Saintess means something huge to him, and Celia snaps, "What are you talking about?" He tells us their hometown is packed with legends about a hero who stood between a goddess of fate and danger. And then Alice chimes in, those teachings were drilled into them from childhood, so the Saintess isn't just a name to them, she's everything. With that said, Alina snaps out that Alice is still clutching the chest of that same important person, and Alice shoots back another apology on the spot. With everything settled, Eula steps forward and introduces himself as Alice's childhood friend. Then Celia and Alina pop in with their own names, while Alba watches their whole exchange unfold. Ulysses, the rightful hero, has already started snatching the story back into his hands. He watches them trade words in dead silence, and something inside him twists. He can't quite name it. Then he starts walking off, reminding everyone dinner's right around the corner, and when they all agree, they turn and follow him to eat, too. Alba fumes at himself for being so stupid as to get jealous of Ulysses, then snaps back. He's the villain, not the hero. Later on, the Academy sets up dinner for everyone, and they dig in like it's pure heaven. Every bite tastes incredible. Just then, Alba spots someone missing, Mina, and shoots Celia a question. Have you seen her first year? Celia pauses and asks if he means the girl she met during lunch, then shakes her head and says she hasn't seen Mina at all. Alina's face goes stone-cold serious as she tells me her father dropped the news on her just this morning, and it's something she can barely bring herself to believe. Hearing that, Alba blurts out, "Do you know anything?" And Alina drops the bombshell. Mina's parents, the Lupica family's heads, were murdered. Meanwhile, deep at the Lupica estate, everything goes unnervingly silent until all you can hear is Mina sobbing her heart out. She clings to the pain of losing her parents, begging the universe for answers, and desperately hoping someone, anyone, will finally show up and save her. Alina blurts that the killer still hasn't been caught, and the moment she drops that bombshell, Alba can't help wondering if this mess is tied to his death flags. Because Mina's just a side character in the game, she can't get pulled into the main story. Celia then blurts out her wish. If only we could help Mina. Death is a pain she shouldn't have to face all alone. Alina nods along, and Alba gets it too, because Celia's seen countless deaths, so the meaning hits him as well. So he's sure those death flags aren't tied to that incident at all, and since he's Mina's friend and he swore he'd help, he'll go all in to make sure she's got someone fighting for her. A few months later, while Alba dozes off in class, the teacher snaps and hurls chalk at him, yelling that it's class time, and Alba blurts out a quick apology. A whole month has passed since that field trip, and now it's June. His calm school days are still rolling on. Just like our world, Kriana Fantasy runs on 12 months a year, and its seasons follow the rhythm of Japanese life. This game spans 3 wild years of school life, and every day the main character levels up by going through the classes, then flipping through a ton of choices that can take the story in totally different directions. You can pick your path, join a guild and climb to Adventure King, run the city's hustle and rise as Financial King, chase legendary magic to become a great sage, or dig into ancient mysteries until you unlock your destiny as a hero. While all the main characters crowd the hallway, Alba suddenly recalls something huge. Turns out, the player can romance the heroines too. But he refuses to take any of those roads, because fate says he's going to be the villain in every single route. He's convinced that no matter which route he picks, he'll land in the exact same fate as the one the game spells out. Before he can finish his thought, Ulysse drops in behind him out of nowhere, making him jump hard. And since he's standing right by the wall, Ulysse presses him, asking what he's doing in a place like that. And the bigger shock for Alba? She realizes Ulysse isn't just any fighter. He's the one who'll finally crush the villain. Right then, Celia clutches Ulysses' arm and tells Alba that Ulysses topped the practical test for the Holy Wolf group. She's stunned by it, while Ulysses shrugs it off and swears it was nothing but a fluke. Even though the three of them look like they bonded hard with Yuli, Alba keeps her distance, like there's something she's not saying. Then he storms off, flashes a grin about being glad for Ulysses, admits he royally screwed up, and leaves everyone standing there totally baffled. Ulysse frets that he might have made Alba feel awful, like he was bragging, but Celia swears Alba always eats Ulysses' bento solo. Then Alice leans in and says maybe Alba got jealous when Celia praised Ulysse. Caught off guard, Celia stares as Alba storms out and can't help wondering if that so-called jealousy was actually real. Alina insists that if Alba really was jealous, it's just immature. So Alice is like, whoa, that's a little harsh. Right then, Alina catches on to something huge. Celia clocks the shift in her face and blurts, "What's wrong?" Alina's eyes sharpen like she just locked onto something huge. She doesn't say a word, but you can feel the secret in her silence. Alba's convinced that if he lives like this, quiet, distant, untouched, he'll never turn into the villain the original Alba became in the game. So he's doing everything he can to dodge the main characters and keep his distance, even locking himself away in the mountains and spending his days alone. Right then, someone cuts in and asks if he's about to take another nap. He snaps his eyes open and bolts upright, and right in front of him is Mina. It's been ages since they last saw each other, ever since her parents died. And then she shoots him a quick question. Want to grab lunch together? And because she's just a supporting character with no connection to his death flags, he doesn't even hesitate. Since she's not tied to his death flags, he can finally open up to her. No fear, no hesitation, and pure joy just hits him. After they finish eating, he brings up what he heard about her parents passing, then tells her straight up he's here and he'll support her through it. He leans in and reminds her of his promise, swearing he'll help her exactly like he said he would. Then she looks at him, floods with gratitude, and thanks him from the bottom of her heart for coming to see him. Tears shimmered in her eyes, but a bright grin lit her face as she told him, "I knew talking to you would lift my spirits for real." Right then, Celia shows up, and the second she spots Mina, the two of them light up and greet each other like old friends. Celia bursts with joy that Mina's here and asks if she wants to come along too. Then Mina leans in and asks what the invitation's really about. And Celia tells them school's over and everyone's heading to her place because she's about to throw a party, and Mina's totally lost, while Alba is stuck wondering what on earth this party is even for. They burst into the house and boom, it's a full-on birthday party for Alba, with everyone exploding confetti and shouting happy birthday. That surprise hits him like a truck, because it looks exactly like a birthday celebration from inside the game, the kind that triggers based on the date you enter when you make your profile. And on top of that, a heroine with sky-high favorability shows up to celebrate the player's birthday, so in his case, all four heroines come together in the same moment. And here's the wild part. This date is his real birthday too, and if he hadn't been reincarnated, he'd be stuck spending it alone. Turns out, Alina remembered his birthday is June 6th, and Celia gets a little irritated because she's hearing it for the very first time. Alice then fires off, asking if he'd been sulking back then just because nobody bothered to wish him a happy birthday. Alina dismisses it as childish, but Alba is stunned because he never had a clue. Uli then blurts out an apology for showing up empty-handed, admitting he couldn't pull together a gift with such short notice. Alina laughs it off and tells him she's just happy they all get to gather and celebrate Alba's birthday. But Celia snaps back that Alba should have spoken up sooner. Then Alice adds, "So you knew it was his birthday and you still played tsundere?" And Alina instantly goes bashful. Mina throws it aside, steps forward, introduces herself as Mina from the Holy Bird group, and then lights up everyone by thanking them for letting her join. Alice and Yuli jump in and introduce themselves, and Alice declares that everything hits harder when they're all together. Mina nods along, thanking them right on the spot. Alina lets out a huge sigh of relief when she sees Mina doing great, and Mina shoots her a heartfelt thank you right back. Alina then tells her the Persia family is firmly on the Lupika side, so Mina can lean on them anytime she needs. Mina nods with deep, overflowing gratitude. Even though they've already met, Celia pops right back in and reintroduces herself, then flashes Mina a warm greeting. Mina thanks her again, like it still matters. While everyone keeps chatting, Albus quietly keeps his distance, determined to dodge the main characters and stay as far out of their way as he can. Lost in his own head, Celia suddenly calls his name and promises she has everything ready for him. Then she reveals his birthday cake, only for things to get complicated from there. Even though Alba won't change his mind, he's finally admitting that sometimes you've got to drop everything, tune out the world, and just dive into the moment. Celia strides up to him, shoves the moment in his hands. "Make a wish." And he blows out the candle, shuts his eyes, and pleads for peace. Forever. Before Celia can even blow out the flame, she suddenly wobbles. Bam! The cake smashes straight into Alba's face. The whole crowd bursts into laughter at the joke, but Celia's eyes glass over. She chokes out an apology and wipes the cream off Alba's face. Moments later, when the sky finally turns dark, Alice and Yuli sprint toward their academy dorms. Then Alina jumps in too, because her estate lies right along the way. After they trade goodbye after goodbye, Mina tells them she's taking the other route, and Alba immediately offers to walk her home because he refuses to ignore what happened to her parents. Watching Alba and Mina trade words, Celia's heart clicks. She thinks, Alba's just kind to everyone. So she can't see any reason to feel jealous about how he treats her. Just as they start drifting away, Alba suddenly stops dead, turns to Celia, and asks her to come with him, leaving her completely stunned. Then he blurts that he's not about to ditch her alone at home because, hey, he's her bodyguard. The moment she hears it, her face lights up, and she happily slips right in beside them, letting out that strange little laugh. Moments later, on the road, Alba leans in and asks Mina if she's home by herself, and Mina shoots back that knights have been stationed to guard her. Hearing that, Alba exhales in relief, and Celia tells Mina, "Come visit us anytime you want." Alba nods and adds, "If Mina ever gets into trouble, tell me." And Celia jumps in too, promising, "I'll help out as well." And the moment Mina hears that, she freezes like she's about to speak. But then she freezes, waves it off with, "It's nothing," tells them they've arrived at her estate, and then, right after, thanks both of them. And just like that, they part ways. But on the trip back, Celia clocks it. Mina looked like she was dying to blurt out something. Alba felt it too, but he's sure that if anything starts to go wrong, she'll tell him, because they're friends, and Celia backs that up. With that decided, Alba asks if they should head straight home, and Celia agrees, then quickly points out that it's already gotten dark. When she hears him, Alba sparks with lightning, reassures her not to worry, and the sheer brightness blinds her for a second as she stares. Then he grins and explains it's not just light, it's a built-in detector for sneaky, suspicious presences. And honestly, he calls it super handy. Right as he says it, he feels someone lurking nearby. He cranks his lightning up and growls, "Who's there?" Celia looks totally confused and blurts out what's wrong, but Alba stays on high alert. Then he admits he felt eyes on them, and Celia shoots back that there's literally nobody around. Still, he keeps scanning the room, desperate to figure out whether whoever it was slipped out already. Actually, they never even left. Then they're just lurking in the distance, watching everything unfold. Tracking Alba is a nightmare. Her colorless camouflage blends in so perfectly, you can't even spot her. This mysterious guy is convinced that if his sister Euro were standing right here, she'd shrug and say, "Of course, this is exactly what a Kriana Academy student would do." But deep down, he still insists Alba and the others are just kids, and the story's about to prove it. Once his face comes into view, he growls that they'll have to sit tight for a bit longer, until the young lady's beast-generating magic finally kicks in. And when that day finally hits, that's when their god-killing spree is about to kick off, telling the students to give it everything and squeeze every last bit of youth out of their lives until then. Just a few days later, the biggest day at Kriana Academy, Whispers of the Ruin, is about to kick off. Since today is the sports festival, Celia strides up to the mic, grabs the moment, and declares a promise to battle with honor, backed by the righteous power and spirit she's learned at the academy. Right after she makes that big declaration, she steps forward and introduces herself, Celia Margaret, the Holy Horse Group's first-year representative. The principal storms onto the stage, shouting that he can't wait to see every participating group level up, and he urges everyone to go all in. In the game, you jump into the tournament with the team you picked at the start, so if you win, the heroine's feelings shoot up. Alba, also in the Holy Horse Group, doesn't care about winning at all. He's desperate to dodge his death flag, no matter what. So yeah, and then this happens. Celia and Alina are buzzing with fire and refusing to lose. They're locked in and dead set on winning that competition. Celia's bouncing with pure joy. This is her very first sports festival, while Alina's locked in and ready to snatch victory for the Persia family. And since there's no way Alba can sway them, all he can do is let out a heavy sigh at how fired up they are. The two of them push hard for Alba to lock in and go all out for the win, so all he can do is nod and agree. Just then, Alice from the Holy Wolf Squad snapped at them to slow down, saying her team will be the winners, while Uli chimed in, "We're not losing." Three girls start bickering over who's going to take the win, and when Alba shrugs that the hero always wins in stories, Yuli is left totally baffled. Mina from the Holy Bird Group then shouts to Alba, swears she won't lose to either side, and greets everyone with fearless confidence. Alice grins and vows she'll go all out, and Celia snaps that today they're all enemies. Alina says they should have a fair match, and Mina immediately agrees. Everyone nods in agreement, and she declares she just wants to forge unforgettable memories, but Ulysse cuts in fast, warning that the Holy Bird crew's magic runs dangerously high, so nobody can drop their guard. Right after he says that, a girl lurking behind them bursts into giggles, and everyone jumps like they've been caught off guard. Turns out it's Lily from the Holy Bird group. She clocks Mina instantly and blurts out that she's packed with hidden magical power, then can't help herself and wonders out loud what kind of magic Mina's about to unleash. After that, she keeps laughing and saunters off, while Alba snaps that she shouldn't just leave with a laugh that strange. Watching them, Ulysse can't help but think Alba is weird for even knowing her. Yet Alba just smirks, because in another future, he could have ended up with her. Right after that, Kate Sith steps in and blasts out that he'll be running the show, tracking the competition and calling the commentary. Then, he kicks everything off by announcing the first event, a full-on running race. Rules are simple. In this race, magic is banned and it's all about stamina. When the announcer shouts the word Mina, Celia and Alice step up to run while their group roars them on. The moment Kate Sith throws the signal, the whole crew explodes forward. Alice surges ahead, Mina and Celia close right behind her, and when Alice breathes out that she's this fast, she reveals it's because she grew up racing Ulysse through the mountains. Alina whips her head around and realizes Alba is nowhere in sight. So where did he disappear to? The truth hits a second later. He's way out across the arena, planted at the edge, and when he apologizes, it's clear he's about to slack off, convinced it's safer to avoid triggering his death flag than to go for the win. Soon, the next competition kicks off. Every team has to blast a giant spherical rock across the arena with pure magic in an explosive magical showdown. Lily stands tall, convinced she won't lose a step in this event, while Alina's irritation keeps climbing until she's demanding answers. Where is Alba? Even Celia can't ignore it anymore, muttering that this bathroom wait has dragged on way too long. Meanwhile, Alba stays perched on the arena's highest point, munching like it's no big deal, laughing at the whole spectacle, and cracking up at the rock's weird look like it's the funniest thing she's ever seen. Before they even catch their breath, the competition barrels into the next trial, a mock battle built to crush whoever's weak. Alina snaps the crew to follow her lead, but Celia snarls at Alba for still not showing up. Ulysse steps in, tells them not to panic, and screams for everyone to charge straight ahead. Right as he says it, Kate Sith steps in and blasts the truth. Those weapons are just soft magical sticks, and even if they hit you, all they do is knock you numb for a little while, so there's nothing to fear. Hearing that, Mina's nerves explode, and she begs them to just do their best to survive, while Lily admits she's terrible with weapons. The moment the battle kicks off, everything detonates into pure chaos. Everyone collides at the same time, and some fighters start swinging their weapons like they're lost in the storm. Up on his high perch, Alba stares down as everything spirals into chaos, except Ulysse and Alina, somehow standing out like the only clear notes in the noise, while the fight rages on. Uli basically says Alina's huge aura is exactly what he figured. Then Alina admits that even if his skills aren't as refined as hers yet, his wild, natural talent makes up for it. Alba watches as Ulysses finally starts acting like a real protagonist, because punching Alina is straight up one of the game's original scenes that boost his favorability with her. Then, right as that clicks, he jerks his thoughts back and remembers everything else in the story. First, the protagonist wins the heroine's heart. Then, the villain Alba snatches her away. And in the end, the protagonist storms in and defeats Alba to get her back. That's how Alba was set to walk straight into his doom, right on cue. And the moment it clicks, he can't help wondering, if the protagonist and heroine really fall into the closeness the original story promised, will his death flag snap anyway? Then he shakes the thought off and tells himself it won't happen because he's not the Alba from that game, and he'll never snatch the protagonist's heroine. Moments later, the scoreboard finally lights up for every team, and Celia's face tightens.
Holy Horse Group is dead last.
Alina jumps in fast, insisting it's not over yet. The final event is double points, so they can still flip the whole game around. Her sweet reassurance flips to full-blown anger the second she snaps, "So why hasn't that delinquent Alba come back yet?" Celia just sighs and calls him an idiot like always. And there's Alba, still sprawled in his usual spot, fast asleep. Then Kate Sith shouts the final challenge. An obstacle race where pairs can be any mix of gender, and they're allowed to blast through with stamina, magic, and raw strength to grab the finish line. He kicks off the roll call by calling out the Holy Horse crew, Alba and Celia first, and Celia's jaw drops because Alba's the one they picked, while Alina instantly snaps to everyone, "Go find him right now!" Next, the Holy Wolf group gets ready as Alice and Ulysses is announced. Everyone can tell she's thrilled, and over with the Holy Bird group, Mash and Lily are picked. Lily wears pure annoyance, while Mash bolts out with shaky nerves that he'll do his absolute best. While everyone scrambles to find Alba, Kateseth barrels straight up to him and snaps that he can't keep dodging duty anymore, so Alba's shoved back into his crew, gets roasted with scolding and a round of booze, and still, even after all that chaos, there's zero intention on his end to actually win. Kate Sith then blares that the girls have to haul the baton through every obstacle just to reach their partners. The boys who grab the baton have to smash through their own traps and sprint straight for the finish line. Then he lays out the rules, fires everyone up to get ready, and signals the next moment. At the gunshot, the race kicks off, and all three girls explode forward in a sprint, while their partners roar and cheer like they're trying to light them up. Alba won't clap or cheer. His heart's heavy that he still refuses to win. Then boom, the first obstacle wakes up as a magic circle ignites under his feet. As the power kicks in, a flood of hands bursts out of that circle, and because Alice is already ahead, she's the first one snagged. Kate Sith spells it out. The magic circle clamps onto enemies with magical hands, and Alice recoils like it's the most disgusting thing she's ever seen. Celia panics, darting out of reach to stop anyone from grabbing her, while Lily just plants her feet, mocks the obstacle as cheap, and starts chanting a counterspell. She calls forth the 4 elemental spirits, and each one wipes out the trouble in seconds, carving a clean path ahead, leaving Kate Sith absolutely stunned. Alba's impressed too, mumbling, "Not bad." But Euless shuts him down fast, snapping that it's way more than that. He leans in and explains the real truth. Everyone's magic comes with hidden strengths and stubborn weaknesses. If someone's power is fire, then water is usually what betrays them. Lily can juggle all 4 basic elemental magics at once with effortless control. It's so wild it almost doesn't feel real. Hearing that, Alba grins like it was made for one of the heroines, and as the display lights up, the other girls get the message. Magic is theirs to use, too. Alice refuses to be left in the dust and slams her beast transformation magic to life. In a blink, she snaps into a cat, wiggles out of the magical grip, and bolts ahead, while Kate Sith can't stop buzzing and cheerfully narrating every second. Seeing that, Alba snaps back to the game. Alice was the heroine who mastered tricky magic, and then he pushes Yuli, asking if she could. She totally could have dodged getting snared by the Chimera back then, if she'd only used this spell, and Euless awkwardly laughs along like, "Yeah, I guess so." Celia snaps into action, chanting her own holy magic to blast through the obstacle. When her chant finally ends, she summons a sacred beam of holy light that wipes out every last remaining hand in an instant, and Alba cheers her on, praising her for the perfect job. Lily bursts up to her partner, fires off the first mash, and shoves the baton into his hands. Then he rockets into a sprint, kicking off the boys' part of the race for real. The second the boys hit the starting line, a brand new magical obstacle springs to life and rips open the sky to unleash a towering golem. Kate Sith hypes it up as the Iron Giant Shocking Mesh, and Alba instantly clocks it as a brutal roadblock. Ulysses nods right along, calling it a legit obstacle and assessment. Kate Sith tells the boys to push through, but Mash freaks out, panics, and throws in the towel. Then Alice swings her baton into Ulyss's hands, and she rockets forward at insane speed. Watching him, Alba clocks the vibe, like Ulyss's moves during their Chimera fight, and she can't shake the question. Is his insane physical prowess some kind of magic? Like, boom! Lily pops up right beside him and blurts out that this is only the first stage of the upgrade. She swears it pulls in kinetic energy from another dimension, funnels it straight into the user's own power, and forges a body that gets stronger every time their skill levels up. As she ends her explanation with a giggle, Alba catches himself thinking one thing. She turns way more alive the second magic comes up. Right as the golem swings in, Yuli snaps out of the way, rockets over the strike, and, right as it hits, she sees it unfold. Alba remembers it. This first stage upgrade power was in the game all along, and it's the real secret behind Ulysses' insane strength. Caught in his own thoughts, Celia finally catches up and throws an apology his way for the delay, only for Alba to freeze in place instead of snatching the baton and taking off. Alina blares at him to snap out of it, and she threatens that if they lose, she'll expose his real identity to the whole world. Alba hears that and freezes in shock. Then it hits him. If his cover gets blown, he's done for. And he snaps his lightning ability on and rockets out of there. Celia finally exhales in relief, and right then the other students swarm Alina, demanding to know who Alba really is. Like lightning striking, Alba barrels straight into the golem and smashes right through it. Yuli hears the brutal impact, whips his gaze back, spots Alba closing in fast, and snaps his eyes to the finish line. Now so close, it's basically within his grasp. Right before Ulysse can even cross the finish line, Alba rockets past it and snatches first place, leaving every single heroine stunned. He stops on a dime, and a massive cloud of dust explodes around him. Uli clicks his tongue, wishing he'd driven himself harder, but the moment he realizes Alba is insanely strong, his mindset flips. Now, he's sizing him up as a real rival. Alba, though, isn't celebrating at all. His victory only leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. Later, Kate Sith belts out the final results and declares the Holy Horse Group the first-year champions, while Celia and Alina practically explode with joy. Alice slams down her declaration that next time, she's not losing, while Lily grins and says she had a blast, loving every second of that wild, amazing magic. Mina's beaming too, soaking up all those sweet memories, while over on the other side, Alba's totally clueless, completely unaware that the sports festival just sparked the next big thing. Meanwhile, the people who'd summoned the Chimera during the student field trip just stood back and stared, watching the chaos unfold from a safe distance. With the competition nearing its finish, one of them turns to a woman called Sister and blurts out, "So, is it time to kick off our plan?" Yor snaps back with a confident nod, saying Ragnarok's mission is simple: hunt down and slaughter the gods. Later, Alba's finally relieved the sports festival is over. Then Alina snaps, "Wait, what are you even whining about? You were slacking off the whole time." He tells her, "Don't stay mad. Look, we still won in the end, and everything worked out." And Alina shoots back, "I thought you'd actually changed, but you're still a delinquent." Alba shrugs it off and blurts, "Where's Celia?" And Alina answers, "She's still stuck in the changing room." She says Mina wants to talk to Celia about something, and Alba's head immediately goes, "Wait, what could it be?" Meanwhile, in the changing room, Celia storms in and asks Mina, "What did you want to talk to me about?" Right as Celia's mind spins, wondering if it's love advice or some kind of weird hint, Mina, voice shaking, blurts out, "Can I do it?" and instantly leaves Celia totally confused. Mina presses Celia and asks, "Are you really ready to give something up so you don't lose what matters most?" And it completely throws Celia off balance. And you can tell Mina's hurting for real, so she leans in and asks again and again what anyone's supposed to do when they have to lose something huge, just to protect something even more important. Celia then blurts out, "Humans have 2 hands, 2 legs, and 1 head. So with a body built like this, how are you even supposed to pick both?" She tells them the truth. Only gods can have everything, so ordinary humans get trapped in brutal decisions, what they'll take, where they'll go, and what they'll sacrifice. Even if it hurts, worry, suffering, losing something, someone has to decide what to do. And that's exactly why the choice falls to humans. Celia believes Mina deserves a decision so precious she can be proud of it. With that, Celia leans in and tells Mina, if she's stuck in pain and torn between choices, then no matter what she chooses, Celia will back her and respect her decision. Hearing that, Mina snaps into tears, blurt after blurting her gratitude, and suddenly she's 100% sure this person really is a saintess. She assumes Celia is the one getting an apology too, and it totally scrambles her. Just. Right then, a towering man in a black cloak suddenly shows up behind Celia and yanks her into his grip, shouting that he finally found her. Celia freezes in shock, blurts out who he is, then whips around and yells for Mina. Mina answers with a shaky apology. Mina crumpled to the ground and sobbed, begging not to lose anyone else after her mother and father were gone, and as she tried to apologize again, then Celia finally realizes Mina's sacrifice wasn't easy. This choice hurt like hell. Right then, the giant man grins and tells Celia he's hauling her straight to their organization, Ragnarok. While Alba's stuck outside the school, Elise and Alice sprint up to him and demand why he hasn't gone home yet. He tells everyone he's waiting on Celia, and since she's nowhere to be seen, Alina dashes off to fetch her. Hearing that, Ulysse suddenly snaps, asking if something's wrong, while Alice can't stop teasing the whole mess. Right then, a monstrous wave of magical power crashes over all three of them, jolting them to a stop. But that's not the end. When they think it's over, a giant elephant monster suddenly stomps into the school, and everyone goes dead silent. While Ulysses and Alice are left staring in shock at the giant elephant, Alba clocks it instantly and recognizes it as that legendary behemoth showed up in the game, hunted him down, and killed him again and again. The principal snaps into action, barking orders for every teacher to evacuate all the students right now. The principal can't stop wondering if it's just a weird coincidence that this thing showed up right after the festival, because the moment it appeared out of nowhere, it pretty much screams that it's exactly what he fears. Alice drops the truth on everyone right there. She confirms the suspicion and reveals this behemoth is just an imitation. Alba nods along, saying it's the exact same thing as that field trip incident. He remembers Lily's explanation. An imitation magical beast is a kind of magic normal humans can't pull off, so whoever crafted it was almost definitely aiming right at the academy students. Just then, Alice snapped, "Look!" because a ridiculous horde of goblins had just burst out of nowhere. Ulysses clocks their direction and blurts that they're marching straight toward the school packed with students. Then Alba snaps back, remembering Celia, Alina, and Mina are in that building too. Terrified out of his mind, he slams his lightning magic to full power and rockets straight through the monster crowd. Meanwhile, Yoru, the mastermind who called the monsters into this world, stands on top of the giant elephant and orders it to tear loose. In the changing room, the giant brute grips an unconscious Celia in his hands, while next to him, a cloaked girl looms, demonic as night itself. The giant man snaps that Yoru's power has kicked up a massive commotion out there, and the demonic girl grins, saying it's exactly how the plan was supposed to go. Right when the giant man pushes the plan to bring Celia back, Alina suddenly crashes the moment, attacking him and screaming for him to release Celia. As the giant man rips into tears yelling this was never supposed to happen, Alina, who just struck him, can't stop wondering what he even is, because his arm feels like solid rock. The demonic girl snaps, calls the giant man Dodara, and orders him to head back first. The second he accepts, the ground starts to rumble and surge upward, and he sinks into it, slowly, like the earth is swallowing him alive. Alina spots what's happening in an instant. He's slinging earth magic and she barrels in to attack, yelling at Celia to hang on. Just before she can get to them, a demonic girl lunges in. Alina barely dodges the attack. The demonic girl strikes with her tail. Then she snaps that Alina is her opponent, right to her face. Alina doesn't wait even a second. She lunges into a full assault, and the demonic girl just flicks her tail, blocking every single hit. She snaps to Alina, saying none of this has anything to do with her, and orders her to move aside. Only for Alina to grit her teeth and refuse, swearing she won't leave her friend behind, not for the Persia family. That answer lights a fuse in the demonic girl. She snaps, "Do you want to die?" And Alina shoots back. Leaving a friend behind is worse than death. With that, she snaps into the Persia family sword style, blocks the tail's strike, whirls it aside, and hurls it right back at the demonic girl. They call it the Persia blooming flower, a blade technique that snaps back with a counterattack by turning the enemy's own strike against them. The demonic girl snaps to attention. Alina's skill is beyond the kingdom's knights by far. And as Alina charges toward her, Dread tightens in her chest. Is this the moment she gets erased by this talented woman? Alina snaps her sword to a halt at the demon's throat, and the girl blurts, "Wait, why did you stop?" When the demonic girl snaps that Alina could have driven straight through her throat, Alina fires back again. "Don't insult me." With that, she slips her sword back into its sheath and declares, loud and clear, that she won't abandon her friend, while the demonic girl just stands there, utterly confused. Alina says, "Yeah, my look is totally different. Black hair, horns, and a tail, but somehow I can still tell who I am." With that, Alina snaps, "Mina!" And the demonic girl's reaction screams that it's really her. Then Alina grabs the moment and hammers home. "Don't you get it? I'm your friend." After hearing that, Mina snaps. Tears spill even though everything is still fresh in her head, while Alina flashes a gentle smile, tells her, "I'm on your side," and urges her to explain what's going on. Right then, someone slammed a strike into Alina's neck, and in the same instant, she finally realized, too late, that another person was already there. Turns out it's the same creep who'd been shadowing them at the birthday party, hiding in plain sight with that dead, colorless camouflage. Then he steps up and tells Mina he's here to pick her up, and Mina doesn't hesitate, calling him Slide. Slide shoots in, yanks Alina by her ponytail, and asks if he should kidnap her too and have some fun. But Mina snaps, "Stop!" She reminds him, clear as day, she's only lending her power for the Saints' kidnapping, and she'll cooperate with Ragnarok only under those exact terms. Slide then shuts her down hard, warning her not to get cocky just because she's Yoru's favorite, because right now, the only person holding Alina's life in his hands is him. Rage surges in Mina as she demands from Slide, "Should I kill you?" And that scares him so hard, he yanks back from Alina at once, blurting that he was just messing around. Once everything's set, he lays out the plan. Mina will escape while Yoru stays behind as bait. Then he palms Mina's shoulder and slips colorless camouflage over her too. Right when her invisibility power kicks in, she blurts out an apology to all her precious friends. And finally, she rushes over and apologizes to Alba, who just sprinted all the way in, only to find Alina lying unconscious, and panic erupts as he shouts her name. Meanwhile, outside, Yoru barks orders at her imitation monsters, and they tear through the area even harder. But right then, the principal steps up in front of every monster, swings once with a swift slash, and wipes them all out, giant elephant included. Still perched on the corpse of the behemoth, Yoru's eyes gleam and she can't help but grin. This is exactly what she expected from the strongest magical swordsman. She calls him Professor Gunsho with a smile, and he answers that it's been a while. Then he demands an answer. Why would she attack her own school after she was that gifted girl who graduated first in her class and once called him her favorite teacher? Yoru shoots back that it's nothing but a grand festival, the kind that signals the end of the three great powers ruling the world. Fuming over those words, he snaps, asking if she didn't just quit the academy, did she also ditch the church and the royal palace? Before she can even get the words out, she spots the imitation monster's corpses trembling. Time to go. She rushes her farewell to the principal and, with a tender call, calls him her beloved mentor. Right as she finishes that sentence, every imitation monster crumbles into smoke. Then the principal shouts her name as she disappears, taking them with her. He finally realizes the imitation beast spell has been shattered. Then every single one of them vanishes into thin air. Then, even more sharply, he remembers the last time he met Yoru, right after her graduation, when she looked him in the eye and said it was already too much for a small-town girl like her to finish at the top of the academy. And she swore she'd pour every bit of magic she learned into making other people happy, just like the rule itself. But as it sinks in, he can't help wondering how she ended up like this, and why. Meanwhile, in the academy's infirmary, Alina snaps her eyes open and bolts upright, and Alba rushes over to ask if she's all right. Then he blurts out, "What happened to Celia and Mina?" And the second Alina hears it, memories slam back in. She tells him Celia's been kidnapped. The news hits him like a punch. As Alina talks, a huge man in a black robe with rough, rocky skin crashes into the earth and drags Celia down with him. Rage hits Alba because he was meant to guard Celia, and he blurts out an apology, swearing he'll never let the culprits off the hook. Alina then drops the bombshell that the giant man's accomplice is Mina, and it hits Alba even harder. He asked what she meant, and Alina snapped back that she didn't get it either, because the figure Mina became wasn't human at all. It looked like a monster, so she guessed it had to be a heretic, and that hit Alba even harder. The Kriana Church teaches that a heretic is a blasphemer, someone cursed to be born from a forbidden union between humans and demons. So Alba starts wondering, was Mina secretly a half-demon? And Alina answers, I can't be sure, but that look was nothing like the Mina we knew. After a short pause, Alba declared that whatever Mina is, she's still one of their own, and that meant her choices had to come from a real reason. Alina nods along, remembering the friend they were just with and how they'd never, ever hurt them. So after what Alina can still remember fades, she's convinced Mina is tied to some secret organization, and that giant guy hanging around with her might be just as much of a freaky outlier as she is. Alba presses her. When you say outlier, do you mean that crew of unusual people? That hit him like a truck. This wasn't just some random scene. It was the game's incident where a cult tried to snatch Celia, and thanks to the protagonist's lightning-fast moves, she was saved, and their bond got stronger. What truly wrecked him, though, was this. It happened in the game because of him. That whole mess was supposed to come from villain Alba teaming up with the cult, yet this time he's nowhere in sight. As he puzzles over how it still happened, the truth hits him in a flash. He's convinced it's because he wasn't in the spotlight. So Mina, just a supporting character with nothing to do with the main story, got picked to plug the gap the villain left behind. Then he fires off, asking Alina if she saw which way they went or if she found any clue at all, yet she blurts out an apology, saying she got caught off guard and straight up fainted. Just then, a voice cuts in. Someone says there's a clue, and it instantly shocks Alina because it's only the two of them here. Alba snaps her head up at once and realizes exactly who that voice belongs to. As she rips away the magic and steps into view, he leans in and tells her flat out that spying is a terrible habit. Turns out it's Lily. She blurts out an apology, saying she missed the timing to call him and somehow ended up hearing the whole situation play out. As Alina freezes in confusion, Alba blurts out that Lily can cast magic to vanish, turning invisible on command. And that alone floors Alina, because everyone says this is ancient magic, so brutal and lost that nobody could ever learn it again. Lily steps up and tells Alina, I was watching you fight. And the moment Alina hears that, she snaps. So you saw it. Were you there when Celia got kidnapped? Lily doesn't hesitate and answers, yes. Confused, Alina snaps, why didn't you help? And Lily answers, I didn't know who was right. Maybe Mina was telling the truth, and maybe I was the one who'd be wrong. Alina snaps that it's downright disrespectful and swears she'll never sully the Persian name. But Alba interrupts, telling her to breathe because Lily's just got a laid-back streak with. With that, he leans in and asks Lily if there's really a clue left. Lily nods and says there should still be one waiting in the girls' changing room. He's relieved, turns to Lily and asks if she'll go with him. She says yes on the spot. Then Alina tries to tag along too, but she's still clearly hurting, so Alba steps in and tells her not to force it and to rest up back at the academy. Even with everything spiraling out of control, he tells her to explain what's happening to everyone. Yet she keeps pushing to argue, and Alba shuts it down fast, demanding that the injured get real rest. Right before Alba can slip out, Alina snaps, tells him to stop, and then demands he help Mina too. She chokes up as she confesses that right before Mina vanished, she was sobbing, and even Alina couldn't steady her power, so Alina just ended up apologizing for it too. Alba wraps Alina in a tight hug and promises, without a doubt, that he'll save Celia and Mina both. He shoots her a grateful nod, tells her she did great and to just stay calm and wait for now. Then she turns right around and thanks him back. Later, they finally stumble into the changing room, and Lily blurts out that when those fake magical beasts showed up, she'd been hunting for the exact source of that magical power. That's when she finally witnessed everything. Celia getting hauled away by that giant man, while Mina whipped her appearance into something completely different. She says she tried to understand everything, right up until Alina crumpled to the ground and Alba finally showed up. Once Alba hears it, she demands the clue and starts hunting for it herself. And Lily tells him that the earth magic the giant man used to break underground takes a huge amount of power, so she's convinced there are still leftover traces of his magic buried somewhere. After she says that, she taps into her abilities and starts picking up tiny sparks of magic, enough to track the path straight to Dodara, the giant man. Alba leans in and asks if you can even track magic fragments like that, and Lily admits the truth. Most other students wouldn't stand a chance. And yeah, she can. So when Alba hears it, his instincts click. This is exactly what you'd expect from the fiercest magic user among the heroines, the sage's own disciple. Then he wastes no time and asks, "Will you lend me your power to save my precious friend?" Celia being gone would have spared him the worst death flag nightmares, but he still follows his heart and marches right after. Lily then jumps in, telling him she's sure helping is the absolute right thing to do. While everyone else is locked in Kriana, someone is tearing through the mountains nearby, sprinting like the cliffs are chasing them. And when that mysterious person steps in, it's none other than Ulysse. But he didn't roll up solo. Alice stays glued to him, perched in bird form, just as Ulysse suddenly bolts toward the mountains. Uli blurts out an apology. "I found it!" And Alice freezes, totally confused, like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" He tells them that while the headmaster was staring down the behemoth, he spotted a figure perched right on its back, and that's when it hit him. It had to be that person who attacked the academy. Then the magical beasts vanished, and he watched Yoro tear through the air and fly off from the behemoth, so he shot after her right away. After all that, Alice immediately asks if he finally tracked down the culprit. Ulysses finally admits it. He couldn't catch up at all, and the chase left him eating dust, while Alice is stunned to learn the culprit was so fast even Ulysses got outrun, though he swears he used his very first staged local improvement to go after them. That's what convinces him. The attacker of the academy isn't some weak, half-trying coward. As Alice pushes them to head back to the academy, Uli suddenly spots fresh footprints, and his gut screams they're the culprits. Then Alice snaps, "Leave it to me!" And bam, she morphs into a dog. She sniffs the footprints, points them out, and urges him to follow the scent straight to the culprit. Ulysse beams at her, tells her she nailed it, and the two of them waste no time charging after the scent. Meanwhile, in the very same mountain range, Alba bursts into motion with Lily on his back, carrying her at full lightning speed. They race after those glowing magical traces, and Alba shoots a question, "Are they close yet?" Lily nods with total certainty. "Then we're hitting the next part. Hold on tight." He blurts that she should hold on tight. He's about to crank up the speed again, and she nods and agrees. With every step they close in, Alba shoots Celia a silent command. Hold on. Just a little longer. For him. Inside a wrecked temple, Yoru slams the news to Ragnarok. "The Saintess is captured!" And the second those words hit, every single member erupts into a full-throated chant of her name. In that, right where everything else happened, Celia was locked in chains, and when consciousness finally crawled back into her, she choked out Alba's name. Moments later, Celia snaps back to consciousness and stares around, instantly demanding, "Where am I?" After scanning her surroundings, she snaps to it. This place is a prison, and the memory hits hard. Mina and that giant man snatched her away. Right as those thoughts hit her, Yoru shows up in front of her cell and asks, "So you're awake at last?" Shocking her to the core, and then she straight up introduces herself as the leader of Ragnarok, the one who brought her here. Celia's eyes go wide, and her body trembles as soon as she hears it. She blurts, "Why? What's the point?" Yoru just shrugs and says it's a festival, and that only makes Celia even more confused as she demands, "What festival?" Yoru tells him this festival is all about honoring Celia as a special guest, and that only cranks up her confusion because she can't figure out what on earth is happening. Yoru then drops the bombshell. This isn't just the festival, it's Kamigoroshi, where Celia gets slaughtered in God's shocking plan. She lays it out cold. She plans to murder the goddess of fate that the Kriana Church worships. They reason it like this. Why would anyone bow to a god who hides its face, barely lifts a finger for the starving and the sick, never steadies the weak teetering on the edge, while the greedy, the cruel, and the drowning in desire stay smugly untouched. Then Yoro leans in and asks Celia straight up, why would a god act like some hateful, discriminatory bastard? Celia snaps back that God doesn't pick favorites. She says God's like a mother, steering the fate of the lost and keeping a watchful eye on them here. Hearing that, Yoru shudders, erupts into laughter, and blurts out, so you want Celia to say stuff like that? Then immediately points out the truth. She's the only woman left on Earth who gets God's favor and wields sacred power. With venom in her voice, Yoru closes in on Celia and spits that she's the living embodiment of God's discrimination. Then suddenly thrusts his hand through the bars and clamps onto Celia's neck. Yora shouts that since God won't show up, Yoru is going to slam Celia down and kill her, the god's representative, while Celia thrashes and gasps as Yoru's grip tightens and smothers the air from her lungs. Yoru finally releases her, then drops the brutal truth that this is the way she's going to pull off God-slaying. Celia coughs through the pain, and Yoru turns to walk away. Then he declares that murdering her will kick off a festival everyone will witness, and he orders Celia to curse the god who handed her this fate. He mocked her to her face, taunting, "So after a fate like this, do the people of your church still pray and even thank their god?" Celia has carried her fate in her mind from the day she was born, and she still vividly remembers how, even as a kid, her father leaned in and told her the goddess had chosen her. She'd been handed sacred power. But then he warned her with one chilling truth. This gift would drag her straight into brutal trials. He urged her to never falter before this destiny, to unleash her power for the good of the world and everyone in it. And young Celia swallowed that vow with a bright, willing grin. She'd never pictured the nightmare that would hit. People hunting her down while countless lives were sacrificed trying to keep her safe. Ever since then, she's realized the truth. She's a saintess, fated to survive a life of non-stop hardship. Yet. Still, she almost forgot it until someone told her this rule. If fate makes you cry, you run. And if there's nowhere left to run, then he's the one place you can finally run to. That was Alba. She snatched her from that nightmare and never left her side again. Right as Yoru steps out, Celia looks back and thinks, sure, I'm thankful for my fate, but someone once showed me that it's okay to fight back against a destiny you never chose. And so she refuses to die here. She won't let fate shove her into that destiny. Yoru snaps back, saying she'll kill her anyway, and even hand her to the god. And Celia fires back, asking why, because killing her won't change a thing if the gods won't even die. Yorua nods along, then flips the threat. She says she can still make them pay, promising she'll drag God through the agony of losing someone she loves. Celia's jaw drops as Yoru strides off, cackling that she's about to make that discriminatory ruler choke on the same medicine. Once Celia watches her leave, the walls collapse. She crumples into tears because she finally realizes there's nothing left she can do. Meanwhile, Alba and Lily reach the temple first, perch on a cliff to scope it out, and then, just to be sure, he asks Lily, "Is this the place?" And she shoots back without hesitation. "The ruined temple. This is where the kidnappers are hiding Celia." She asks if they're heading in right now, but he shuts that down fast, telling her they won't come through the front. From the game, he remembers this spot, and he knows if they barrel straight into the main building, traps will snap, enemies will ambush them, and it'll go bad fast. In his past life, he got wiped out in the Cryana fantasy game over and over, so he hunted down the answers online, desperate to break the cycle. And that's when he tells Lily, there's an entrance on the far side of the temple, so we'll go in through there. Lily fires back, "How do you know?" And he immediately snaps his gaze away, all nerves, blurting, "I heard it somewhere." Then he keeps moving. He forces himself to believe this is just another solvable problem from the game, and that Celia is safe no matter what. But he can't ignore it now. Something's gone off script, and Mina is teaming up with that cult right in front of everyone. As the thought hits him, he remembers Alina sobbing, begging him to help Mina too, and he locks in a promise to himself then. Then he thanks Lily, promises he's got everything under control from here, but Whenever Lily shuts him down, she fires back. "Remember? I told you I'm into you," reminding him of it. With a bright smile, she blurts out that she wants to help, and she can't wait to see more of his rare magic. Seeing how Lily acts, Alba realizes his feelings for her just jumped way up, and that means his death flag spikes too. Bad news. But he still nods and lets her help anyway, since right now, his only mission is to save Celia and the others, so he scoops up Lily again and hits his lightning-fast steps, slipping into the temple before anyone can stop him. Meanwhile, Yuli's and Alice charge up to the temple's front, chasing that trail of scent, and Yulis fires off, asking Alice if this is the spot, and Alice nods, saying the scent is guiding them straight to the temple's entrance. Then he asks if they're really going in, but the other guy snaps back. "No, we can't. The enemy's a mystery," and says they should race back to the academy to report the location. Right as he finishes, Alice hears footsteps, shoves him into hiding. Two figures, wrapped in bandages and draped in robes, sneak into view and stake out the area, like they're on lookout duty. One snaps at the other to stay locked in and keep watch, while the other scoffs, insisting nobody ever shows up here, so they should stop acting so nervous. One of them blurts out, half worried and half bursting with joy, that this festival has been waiting ages, and the other nods, swearing that everyone who ever discriminated against them is about to regret it. While Yulis is still trying to figure out what they're even talking about, one of them casually drops that they'll sacrifice the kidnapped Saintess for their Godslayer ritual, and Alice's whole world freezes as she wonders, are they talking about Celia? But the second she whips around to ask Yulis, he's already gone. Uli wastes zero time. She storms right up to the two robed figures and demands, face to face, whether their claim is actually true. And just as he quizzes them again about whether they really kidnapped the Saintess, they whip around, shocked, and demand what kind of student he even thinks he is for showing up here. Yulis doesn't even wait for their answer. He keeps pressing, demanding to know where the Saintess is, yet they brush him off and whisper to each other, acting like he's nothing more than a spoiled noble brat. Uli snapped with rage, warning them not to poke him and demanding an answer, but the two guys just laughed it off, acting all scared and goading him, until one of them finally confirmed Celia was inside the hideout. They grin while laying out their plan, slow, brutal, and downright vicious, killing the Saintess inch by inch, tearing her apart and scattering what's left across the whole capital. But just as they try to speak again, Yuli snaps. Then she darts forward and slashes past them in a blink, and when their bodies hit the ground, Alice snaps back into her human form and realizes just how furious he's become. A few days before, right after Yulis met Celia for the first time, he warned Alice that touching the Saintess inappropriately was blasphemy. Then Alice shot back an apology, admitting she just couldn't help it because Celia was adorable, and she asked what it felt like to finally meet the Saintess he'd always worshipped, to which Yulis said it made him genuinely, truly happy. Just talking to her and soaking in her kindness washed the chaos out of his heart, and he realized she was even more incredible than he ever dared to hope. After a quick pause, Alice teased him, asking if he'd wanted to touch Celia too. Then her joke hit a nerve, and his irritation flared as he snapped. "What are you even talking about?" Since Celia means the world to both of them, especially now that they're friends, Ulysse snaps with fury the moment he hears about those plans. Right then, Alice spots something weird about the two men's bodies and snaps at Ulysse to look now. And as he stares, shock slams into him, because even though they talk just like normal people, he realizes they're not human at all. Before long, the two of them are convinced these things could be heresy arcs, and Alice steps in to explain what the Goddess Church. Anyone who dares defy God gets branded a blasphemer, and Ulysse is convinced these kidnappers fit that label perfectly, because snatching the Saintess isn't just a crime, it's blasphemy against God, which means they have to be punished. Rage flares inside Yuli, and he clenches his fist, telling Alice, "We're going in." Then they sprint straight for the entrance, while Alice yells that Celia mustn't worry because Yuli and she will bring her back. Alice's voice booms so loud that even Yoru, trapped deep inside the temple, hears it. Then Yoru snaps a comment that it's getting way too noisy. And just like that, she orders her people to scatter and welcome the uninvited intruders. Slide practically jumps at the chance, even though Mina's visibly shaken because now she has to square up with her own friends. Meanwhile, Alba and Lily follow the path he remembers from the game, and they stumble on the temple's back entrance, and Lily is totally shocked because she never thought it would actually be real. As he heads for the entrance, he tells Celia and Mina in his head to hold on. He's coming to rescue them. As Lily edges toward the entrance, she realizes it's pitch black inside, but Alba just shrugs it off. Then he blasts his whole body with lightning, lighting up the entire place. Seeing that, Lily jolts again. Like, does Alba even realize he's turning his own body into a full-blown phenomenon without chanting? She can't shake the fear that this kind of magic could snap him over to the phenomenon. And just as that thought hits her mind, Alba suddenly senses something. He barrels in and snatches her away in a flash, right as something huge slams down at insane speed. Once they finally back up to safety and the dust starts to settle, Lily's thrown into confusion. There's a crater right there, yet nobody's in sight. Then a voice snaps in from nearby. "You're the enemy!" Lily gets more and more lost, and the invisible stranger smirks as he says Alba's lightning magic feels way too familiar. Then he straight up identifies him as the brat who used to hover beside the Saintess. Then he shuts off his invisibility magic, pops into view as Slide from Ragnarok, and demands Alba. "So you came here to take the Saintess back, right?" Lily instantly spots it, magic disguised as invisible camouflage, while Alba snaps, "Where's Celia?" Slide laughs at that and says, "Like he'd ever spill that," then fires back, asking if the ones attacking the front are Alba's allies, just decoys. Alba is totally thrown, so he demands, "What are you talking about?" Slide grins mid-transform, points his hand and presses Alba. "So you're really trying to play dumb, huh?" Then he fully morphs his arm into a towering monster, roaring that every intruder will die. Alba's jaw drops at what he sees. Then it clicks. This is exactly what Alina warned about, so he hurls the word heretic at Slide, and Slide just sticks his tongue out and blurts, "No, I'm not." Right when he's about to reveal who he is, the story snaps to the temple's interior, where a swarm of humanoid, monster-like heretics storms in, charging to slaughter the intruders. Uli just whips past them in a blur, slicing clean through every last one. When Alice spots their corpses, she snaps to Ulysse that every single one of these guys is a heretic, because yeah, the proof is right there. That only spikes her panic, so she urges them to find Celia fast. Ulysse nods, and the moment he does, he spots something. Then boom! A giant hand rips out of the ground like a deadly punch, and it launches him flying. Alice calls out, panicked, and he manages to land safely just as a person starts crawling up out of the ground. Then they declare that the intruders are getting wiped out. Once he finally bursts out of the ground, revealing himself as Celia's kidnapper, Ulysses points at him and slams the word heretic into the air. Hearing that, the giant man's face flushes with fury, and in a shaky voice he rips the claim apart, denying he's a heretic. Right after he says that, he slams a punch into the ground. Bam! Spikes explode up from the earth, and Alice and Ulysse barely skid out of the way. Ulysse tells Alice to step back and leave it to him, and when she starts to argue, he urges her to use her magic to track Celia, so she gives in and agrees. With that, she snaps into a rat and scurries off to hunt Celia, while Uli's stuck staring at the giant man. He can't even speak, but she knows he's grateful as the giant silently starts repeating, "No." Ulysse demands to know what's wrong with him and then lays it out. These guys didn't just attack the academy, they snatched the Saintess too. Right on cue, the giant man gets accused of heresy again, and the moment he hears it, his whole body shakes. "Why am I the heretic?" he demands, remembering Yoru's words that all of this began with the church. With tears spilling over, he rips into the Kriana church, saying they treat his people like monsters and slap discrimination on them, so Ulysse and folks like him aren't victims at all. They're the real racists. The giant man finally tells them the real reason. They're going to crush the church, burn out its evil, and prove the odds were right. These heroes are justice. Meanwhile, Slide, right there staring down Alba and Lily, throws out that same Heroes of Justice line too. With a smug grin, Alba snaps that it's a cruel joke coming from someone with that arm. Then Slide strikes back, proving his point that folks like Alba judge by looks and hide it behind God. Then he drops the bombshell. The heretics were nothing but ordinary humans until Alba gets hit with the shock of it all, and he adds that he can't say if what's spreading is a curse or a disease. It can strike at birth, kick in during childhood, or hit even after someone's grown. Timing's different for every person, just like the traits themselves, like stone-hard skin or monster-like arms. He says everyone huddled in Ragnarok is doomed to live with a curse that gnaws their bodies to the bone, and then, when the time comes, some of them snap, lose their minds, and turn into real monsters. The church didn't save them. It nailed a heretic label on their foreheads, screamed that they were vile mixes of man and demon, and tossed them out like the world's enemies. Slide grins like a villain right after that, then spits out his reason. This is why they're going to slaughter the church's most sacred treasure, the Saintess, the very symbol of faith. He cackles like a maniac, swearing the church is finally going to bow and calling it a full-on revolution, salvation for the oppressed heretics who will carve out true justice. Alba stands there, listening in silence, because he knows the game already marked them as enemies of the Saintess, so he can't ignore how they're destined to be crushed as heretics. And even if he feels sorry for Slide, the poor guy trapped in all of this, Alba knows deep down this isn't a game anymore. Now that this is his new reality, he spits that justice means nothing to him, and then he swings the focus back fast. Celia and Mina are his friends, and he's come to drag them home. When that slide hits, it instantly sparks laughter, because they're saying Alba's acting like Mina got captured, even though Mina was the one who helped with the Saintess's kidnapping. He spills that the field trip attack and the chaos that followed the sports festival were both powered by her one-of-a-kind gift. He tells them Mina stands out from the rest because with her magic she can summon monsters of her own, turning Ragnarok into something like a monster forge. So Sly leans in and tells Alba, if you're gonna call someone a monster, make it Mina. She's the real one, the princess of monsters. While Slide needles him for treating Mina like a friend, Alba's mind snaps back to Alina's promise, how she vowed they'd save Mina, right to the moment she was still crying. After hearing all this, it hits him. Back when he'd asked Mina if anything ever went wrong, she'd tried to answer but couldn't get the words out, and now he can't stop thinking, was she crying inside even then? With that thought, he blurts out that Mina would never, ever team up with someone like Slide on purpose. She's way too kind for that. Slide erupts into another crazy laugh, claiming that, just like they planned, Mina slipped right into the Saintess and her classmates like she belonged there. And then he snarls that if she hadn't, the one person he treasures most would have been dead. Then the truth hits hard. Slide was the one who struck Mina's parents that night. Mina burst into her parents' room after the noise, and the second she saw them sprawled in a pool of blood, her whole world cracked. She collapsed and sobbed. Right in front of them, Slide straightened up and announced he'd come to recruit her for Ragnarok, then spat, "Heretic girl," like it was a verdict. So she snapped, stunned, and demanded what he even meant. But Slide leaned in and told her not to act clueless because they'd already dug into her, and they knew she was a special heretic. Then he marched over to Mina's father's corpse, stomped down on his head, and bragged that the old man had spilled everything to him, too. He added that when he hurt the wife and her sobs finally started, the father cracked and spilled the whole truth. And then, with that, the Slide burst into hysterical laughter, taunting Mina, calling it hilarious, and how stupid they were for thinking he'd ever let either of them live. Devastated and seething, Mina snapped into her beast form the moment she saw the Slide asking if that was her real nature. Right as she was about to strike, Slide tore the truth out. He'd grabbed Mina's little sister, so Mina knew that if she killed him or flat out refused, her sister would be tortured to death anyway. Then it hits. Mina's little sister was snatched hostage by Ragnarok, and Mina's left with one brutal option. She has to help them kidnap Celia, with only this path left. With that outburst, Slide leans in and fires the question at Alba. So you get it now, right? Mina's one of us, and the bond you thought Alba had with everyone else? It was all a lie. And just like that, Slide sneers at him again for daring to rescue a woman who didn't just kidnap the Saintess, she'd been playing them the whole time. Then Slide lunged at Alba and demanded, "Did you fall for that monster girl?" and swore that if he did, he'd personally bring Alba's corpse. Before Slide can land a single strike, Alba twists into a streak of lightning and blasts straight through him, tearing Slide in half. Alba doesn't even care anymore if this is a game or the real world. He's convinced scum like Sly should die either way.